Resource packs are an amazing way to enhance the look of vanilla Minecraft, so make sure to leave a like, subscribe and enjoy this compilation of Minecraft's best resource packs. One of the best ways to customize Minecraft is by using a resource pack, which is why I have found some resource packs that help to improve the look of vanilla Minecraft. And I'm going to be starting with one called Fresh Moves. Now, there's a very popular resource pack known as Fresh Animations, which completely animates the mobs in Minecraft. However, with Fresh Moves you can animate the player. For example, it adds custom walking, sprinting, and idle animations. It also adds the ability to have custom face animations, although you do need to edit your skin to do so. But honestly, I think Fresh Moves is such a cool looking resource pack as it really helps to change the look of players inside of vanilla Minecraft. And I think it looks even better if you use fresh animations as well. This next resource pack is also pretty simple, but I do think it looks really cool. But to take a look, I do actually need to fly up into the air, as this next resource pack is known as the Cubic Sun and Moon, which adds, well, a 3D sun and a 3D moon into Minecraft. Yeah, I told you it was pretty simple, however, I think it does look really cool, especially this moon. I think the texturing on it looks amazing. So if you want to change what the look of the sun and the moon looks like inside of vanilla Minecraft, I recommend using the Cubic Sun and Moon resource pack. This next resource pack is also pretty simple, as it changes one block inside of Minecraft. This is the Raised 3D Ladders texture pack. With Raised 3D Ladders they get a complete texture overhaul, and I think they end up looking really cool. Although they are very different from the vanilla style of ladders, I do think they end up looking really cool. Plus I really like the 3D effect they add. Despite them looking different from vanilla ladders, I do think they end up looking really cool in already existing builds. Plus if you use the Not Enough Animations mod, it adds a really cool ladder climbing effect. Before I showcase any more resource packs, make sure to subscribe and let me know in the comments down below what your favourite resource pack to use is, and I may feature it in a video in the future. And at the end of the video, I'm going to be showcasing some resource packs which completely change the look of vanilla Minecraft. This next resource pack is known as 3D Crops Revamped, which does what it says in the name. It adds 3D crops into Minecraft. This is my first time actually using this resource pack in-game, and honestly, it looks so cool. Like, these beetroot look amazing, the carrots and the wheat, and even the potatoes, they all look really good. But to take a better look at these crops, I think it's worth flying through my Minecraft hardcore world, in which I've planted a ton of different crops. Yeah, just looking around my main area, I really like what they've done with the carrots. I think these look really cool. They've also done it so you can get 3D berry bushes, which I think look really cool, as well as 3D sugarcane, and 3D Neverwort over there, but we can take a look at that in my creative test world again in a minute. As honestly, I think all of the crops do look really cool with a 3D effect. Although I'm not too much of a fan of how dark the colour of the wheat is, I think it's a bit too dark compared to the normal colour of wheat. Honestly though, I do think the carrots or the beetroot are my favourite. Back inside of my creative world, we can see what the berry bushes look like, and honestly these look really cool. They look completely different from vanilla berry bushes, but I honestly do think they look really nice. We've also got the 3D Neverwort, which I also think looks really cool. But it's not just those blocks it changes. As obviously I mentioned the sugarcane, but it also can change all of the different mushrooms and fungus in the game, which honestly looks really cool. And they all have different rotations, which I think makes it even better. Honestly though, in-game, I think these 3D crops look really cool. This next resource pack helps to change what grass looks like in Minecraft. The simple grass flowers texture pack helps to add different variations to grass. For example, here we have little patches of flowers on top of it. Here we have some clovers. Here a bigger patch of flowers. We've got little stones. Honestly, I think this looks really cool and helps to break up the otherwise quite plain looking grass texture. Although obviously they are just textures, so you can't actually pick up the flowers or the clovers or the little pebbles in game. Even inside of my hardcore world, with the addition of the 3D crops resource pack, I think this helps to add loads more detail into the grass. And honestly, I do think my favourites are the little clovers on the grass, as it doesn't change too much. Because honestly, I think the flowers and the stones are a bit too eye-catching and do distract from the otherwise plain grass texture. But I think the clovers just look amazing. And I guess in certain places where you place grass blocks, you may not want little flowers on the ground. But I guess it does save from me having to use stone buttons as little pebbles. Although you may like this resource pack, I don't think it's one I'll always be using. This next resource pack is great if you like the look of your Minecraft skin, but don't really like the look of it with armor on, as this is the minimal armor resource pack. So believe it or not, right now I am in a full set of netherite armor, however it doesn't really look like I am. And that's because minimal armor completely changes the look of your armor inside of the game. Plus it also works with trims, which I think makes it look even better. As it's probably quite noticeable, half my helmet's missing, and so is my chestplate and my leggings. Most of the boots are here, But honestly, I think this looks pretty cool, especially if you do want to see what your skin looks like in Minecraft. But it's not just netherite armor, as it changes the look of every armor inside of Minecraft, which honestly looks pretty cool. I like the different variations we got, from the leather to the chain, to the iron, gold, diamond, and netherite. And even the elytra have had a change, which honestly, I think these elytra wings look really cool. Although they don't really work when you have a cape on. But as soon as I take my cape off, honestly, these elytra look really cool. I'd actually use these in vanilla Minecraft. Although I do prefer the look of my creeper cape. Minimal armor is a great resource pack to use if you like doing roleplay in Minecraft, where you don't want to have to see your armor all the time but still want all of the protection. Although I don't know how useful this will be in PvP, especially if you need to see your opponent's armor. Next up, I have another armor related resource pack. But before we take a proper look, just remember at the end of the video, I'm going to be showcasing some more resource packs, which completely change the look of vanilla Minecraft. The Glowing Trims resource pack makes your armor trims glow. Plus, it adds this really cool animated effect to it. And if I head into a dark spot within my hardcore world, you can see the full effect of this armor, as the amethyst actually glows, and I think it looks really cool, especially with my enchantment glint. Even when my brightness is fully dropped down, this armor trim is still very noticeable. Honestly, this is such a useful resource pack. I really like the effect of your armor trims glowing. But it's not just amethyst armor trims. It also works on the emerald, as you can see there's sort of this highlighting pattern, which I think looks really cool. Honestly, the best way to look at it is at night. Like the redstone one has this really cool glow to it, as does the gold, and so do like the diamond and the emerald ones. I think this looks really cool. And honestly, I'm quite surprised that glowing armor trims is not a vanilla feature. Although if it was, I think it could be added with the use of an echo shard to make glowing armor trims seem a bit more valuable. Now these next resource packs completely change the look of vanilla Minecraft. But first we need to take a look at a regular Minecraft block. You may notice that a Minecraft block is made of pixels. To be precise, it's a 16 by 16 block. But the Fateful resource pack changes that to an 8 by 8 texture. Now Fateful's a pretty cool texture pack, as it does change the traditional Minecraft 16 by 16 textures into 8 by 8. But it also just makes the world feel so much smaller. For example, this is a single block, although it feels like half of a block. Or something like this seems like a normal sized block, although that's a 2 by 2. Like honestly, this chest just feels tiny. Honestly, I think Fateful's a pretty cool looking resource pack, as even from a distance certain blocks do look the same, like the dirt and the cobblestone and the planks. But as you get a bit closer, you will realise they are much smaller blocks. Oh wow, the llamas look so cool as well. They look tiny, although they are much taller than me. This is really confusing, but it also does look really cool. Although this resource pack does look really cool, I think it would be quite difficult to get used to in an already existing Minecraft world. But to prove that, let's take a look at my hardcore world in Fateful. Oh wow, yeah, there's an immediate change. Oh yeah, my armor doesn't look very good. Honestly, my least favorite part of the pack is the items. I think they're too pixelated, which I know they have to be because everything is scaled down. But it just does sort of make things unreadable. Like, I can't see how many hearts I have really. I think that's really unnoticeable. It all looks sort of blurry, like the whole inventory looks blurry. But flying from above, nothing looks too different. But I guess as we drop down, let's drop down over here, it will begin to get much more noticeable. Yeah, everything is sort of much more scaled down. Has my cat changed? Oh yeah, you've got a completely... Oh wow. Yeah, you look completely different. It's weird because as I'm walking up to my windmill, I feel so much smaller and like shorter down. Although I'm just the normal height. Oh wow, bees have even changed and they do look pretty cool, to be honest. Honestly though, from a distance, nothing really has changed unless you sort of zoom in and then you really do notice the changes that have happened. So, would I personally use Fateful? No, although it does look really cool and would be fun for some sort of challenge. Now, if you played the old console editions of Minecraft, you'll love this next resource pack, as this is the Plastic Texture Pack for Java Edition. For those of you who don't know, the Plastic Texture Pack is an old console edition resource pack which smoothens out every block in the game and almost makes it look like it's made by plastic. Now most likely you will recognise this from Stampy videos. I know that's definitely where I discovered it for the first time. But honestly, the world just looks so much more different with this texture pack on. But honestly, it's quite nostalgic in a way as well. Like with this old like dirt texture, this old grass texture, even the old wool textures. I never really played with this texture pack myself, but I remember what all of these blocks look like. It also changes the look of all the paintings in the game, which I think looks really cool. We've got the Mona Lisa here, which honestly I'm quite surprised isn't a Minecraft painting. We've also got this really cool horse one, which we now do have in the game. What looks like some sort of food. But obviously, as this was an old console edition resource pack, lots of the blocks never got updated. However, for example, copper, which I know was never on console edition, does look really cool in a plastic texture pack. However, as of right now, this resource pack hasn't been updated for 1.21. Which is slightly unfortunate as all of the new tough blocks don't have their plastic texture pack form. But even just taking a look at the inventory looks really cool. I really like the blue it has. The old golden apple texture looks really cool. All of these old fish textures. Honestly, this is such a cool fish texture. And even the main menu, I think this background looks amazing. And my hardcore world completely changes. So if you used to play console edition or really like the look of this pack, I recommend using the plastic texture pack. Now this next resource pack will also be very familiar if you played on the console editions of Minecraft, as this is a natural resource pack, which I guess sort of changes blocks to look a bit more realistic, although I don't know if that cat looks more realistic or just looks more terrifying. But the natural texture pack is a really cool resource pack if you like the look of the Legacy console edition with this texture pack on, or if you sort of just want a medieval Minecraft experience. I mean, just look at items such as like the shears and the fireworks, these look really cool. Although I don't really think it fits the theme of my hardcore world, especially due to the fact that it had been made with the default vanilla textures. But it is really cool to look around and see. Yeah, this resource pack is a completely different change to vanilla Minecraft. Oh, it hasn't updated the 1.21 features yet, such as the new dogs, which definitely do look weird, especially compared to the old default wolf. Some changes are definitely more noticeable than others. For example, I'm pretty sure this block here, yeah, it's a stripped spruce log, which looks much lighter than an oak log. Oh, it's a phantom. And I'm pretty sure right here is wheat, which looks completely different. And obviously the vanilla background has changed. Even just looking around creative, I really like the look of a realistic, natural Minecraft resource pack. One thing that does look really cool are the torches. They look so much cooler than vanilla torches. Much more of like a medieval sort of style. Wow, even the skull, that skull looks really cool. It's like got like a whole hollow effect. I think that looks really nice. Even the spawn eggs, I think these look really nice as well. So if you want to transform the vanilla style of Minecraft, I recommend using the natural resource pack. But there we go, they were some of the resource packs I'd recommend using to change the look of vanilla Minecraft. Some in more ways than others. And personally in the future, I'm definitely going to be using the Fresh Moves resource pack even more. Plus I think the Cubic Sun and Moon, as well as the glowing armor trim resource packs do look amazing. One of the best ways to customize Minecraft is through the use of resource packs, which is why today I found a bunch of resource packs which help to improve what Minecraft 1.21 looks like. Starting with a simple resource pack called Door Tweaks. Now, as it says in the name, the resource pack Door Tweaks add some small tweaks to different doors in Minecraft. And as you look through each door type, the changes are pretty noticeable, as every single one of these doors now have 3D textures. This is much more noticeable if you look a bit clearer, as all the door handles now have 3D effect, and as you look through some of the windows, for example on these oak doors, you'll be able to see the pixels inside. Honestly, I really like the effect this adds to all the doors. Like the cherry door now looks really cool, and I love the effect on trapdoors, like this mangrove trapdoor with the circular effect just looks really nice. It also does change some of the textures of the trapdoors. For example, the crimson ones and warped ones have changed, and so have the iron doors and trapdoors, as they now have more holes in them. And honestly, I really like this design. It almost reminds me of some sort of copper grate, and I think it would work really well as some sort of drain design. As well as this, if you look through the creative inventory, you'll be able to see all of the item textures have actually changed, and now all the trapdoors are little square icons. But looking through some of my builds I've created, you'll be able to see the effect of door tweaks. Honestly, I think these oak trapdoors and spruce trapdoors work really well down here, and I love the effect of these jungle trapdoors on the roof now. But despite being a fairly small resource pack, I definitely recommend using door tweaks if you like the normal look of Minecraft stores but do think they could have a little bit of an improvement. One thing everyone does at one stage inside of their Minecraft worlds is go netherite mining, which is why this resource pack, Blue Netherite, is so useful, as this resource pack changes the look of ancient debris in Minecraft to be a light blue texture, so it's much more noticeable when mining for netherite. As before, the brown ancient debris texture sort of blends in with the netherrack or the basalt or the blackstone around it. However, this light blue is a complete contrast to anything else you find in the nether, which is why the Blue Netherite resource pack is so useful, as it becomes so much easier to spot any netherite that spawns within inside of your Minecraft world. But don't worry, this has no effect on the actual textures of netherite, so your netherite armor and tools will all remain the same. This just changes the ancient debris to make it a little bit easier to find. Now, to be honest, I wouldn't recommend using this resource pack all the time, but as soon as you go into the nether to start netherite mining, I feel like it is very, very useful. One of the biggest features that players want to see added into Minecraft is banners on beds. which would be a great way to customize the look of your bed inside of your Minecraft world, which is why I recommend using the Fancy Beds resource pack, as it completely changes the textures of all of the beds inside of Minecraft. White beds will now have a panda on it, light grey will have a rabbit, grey will have a wolf, black will have a moon, brown will have a cow, red will have a mushroom, orange will have a fox, bees will have yellow, yellow will have bees, lime will have frogs, green will have creeper, cyan will have a lily pad, light blue will have bubbles, blue will have a pirate ship, purple will have a shulker, magenta will have a flower, and pink will have a pig. And honestly, I do think these help to add loads more detail into the beds in Minecraft, so they're not all just the same boring, plain texture they normally are. And I know this isn't quite banners on beds, but it is a pretty close way to get it inside of vanilla Minecraft. One extra thing I would recommend installing is the Better Beds mod, which changes a bed into a block rather than an entity, and allows for an additional resource pack, which creates these really cool 3D pillows, which I think makes fancy beds even better, as now Minecraft's beds look even more detailed. Before I move on to the next resource pack, make sure to subscribe, as I've been planning to make loads more resource pack video showcases in the future. So if you enjoy it, make sure to subscribe to let me know that I should be making more videos like this. One of the most popular resource packs inside of Minecraft is known as Fresh Animations, which gives a completely brand new look to animations within Minecraft, which is pretty noticeable with these villagers as their eyes and noses now move, and so do their eyebrows. This guy looks particularly concerned. But with a resource pack known as Fresh Animations Extended, it adds extra features to Fresh Animations. And this actually comes in a ton of different resource packs, or you can combine them all into one texture pack, which is what I'm going to be showcasing today. For example, one of the edits is a creeper edit, which changes the textures of the creeper to add 3 different variations to them. And honestly, I feel like this is what creepers would actually look like if their texture actually got changed with the texture update. But I do understand why the texture didn't get changed, as Minecraft did want to keep the iconic creeper texture. But to be honest, I do like the look of these retextured creepers, plus the addition that they do have the Fresh Animations built in. The next part of Fresh Animations Extended is known as Details add-on, as this resource pack adds on a load of different details to Minecraft's mobs. For example, taking a look at chickens, they have completely new models. They now have tails and these little head things, head crests. I don't actually know what it's called on a chicken. They've got these little head crowns though, and I do think they do look pretty cool with them. All of the cow types, such as the mushrooms, all have different like 3D ears, which I think look nice, and they've also got tails as well, which I've just noticed. Sheep follow in a similar pattern by also having ears, which I do think actually do look pretty nice, although I don't know if I'd use it myself. Baby villagers now have a fresh animation texture, which I do think looks nice. And if you look closely on an iron golem, you'll notice a 3D vine effect. And wandering traders now also come with 3D pouches. Taking a look at some of the pigs, they've also had texture changes, as they now all have floppy ears, which I think looks nice, and lots of them do come with tusks as well, which I think do look pretty funny. Next up, we have the emissive add-on, which is best seen at night, as it adds glowing eyes to many of Minecraft's different mobs. This is pretty noticeable on the iron golem with his glowing red eyes, but is also noticeable on mobs such as the drowned, strays, and even guardians. And guardians also now do come with fin textures as well, although they're pretty hard to see. The next add-on for Fresh Animations Extended adds quivers to skeletons, strays, and bogs. Now, as this is only a resource pack, when you kill a skeleton, it doesn't have a chance of actually dropping a quiver, as it's just an extra texture. But I do think it looks pretty nice, and it helps to add loads of detail. I'm a massive fan of what it does look like on the bogged, actually. I really like the green sort of colour it has, in contrast to the sort of leather colour it has on this skeleton. Next, with Fresh Animations Extended, spiders and cave spiders have had some changes, as they now have much bigger legs and terrifying mouths. Honestly, this spider now does look terrifying. Yeah, so maybe you wouldn't want to play with this part of a resource pack, as spiders now look terrifying to deal with. But this next part of a resource pack is pretty cool, as it re-adds the classic models for horses, donkeys, and mules. This is fairly noticeable by looking at their hooves, which now sort of have a 3D effect to them, which I think looks pretty nice. They've also got different saddles, and the donkeys now come with different chests on the side of them as well. And honestly, I'm a fan of this one the most, and I have been using it in videos recently, and I'm definitely going to continue using this part of a resource pack in the future. And finally, with Fresh Animations Extended, we have the Objects add-on, which just changes some of the different block entities in Minecraft, which is very noticeable when looking at boats and rafts, as all of their oars and paddles now stay on the side of them. Opening chests will now add this sort of wobbling effect to them, which is fairly hard to notice, but it is there, just a little sort of wobble each time you open and close it. Minecarts also now have some extra detail onto them as well, and if we take a look underneath, Although hard to see, they do have little wheels. But let me know down in the comments which one of these Fresh Animations extended resource packs are you most likely to use in your world in the future. Now moving on from mob and entity animations, we've now got the animated items resource pack. Now this resource pack adds some subtle animations to Minecraft's different items. For example, the Totem of Undying can now blink. Diamond and Netherite swords now have this really cool sort of enchantment glint effect to them, which for the Netherite sword almost looks like the soul sort of particles coming up it. I think that looks really nice. Gold apples and enchanted golden apples have sparkles around them once you hold it. Iron ingots sort of have this like sort of shiny effect, as do amethyst shards. And ender pearls and eye of enders can now actually blink. Although these animations are fairly subtle, I do think these look really cool and just add some extra detail to many of Minecraft's different items. Now one of the reasons many people don't like to use totems is it does take up a lot of their screen, which is why this next resource pack is so useful, as this is the smaller totem resource pack, which just changes the position you hold the totem in so it's much smaller in your hand. For example, this is the smaller totem, and this is Minecraft's default totem. Now despite this being a fairly small resource pack, I think it is very useful as it does free up a bit more space on your screen, so you are able to see it a bit more, without your Totem of Undying taking up all of the room. Particles Plus is a resource pack which changes and fixes many of Minecraft's different particles. For example, eating different foods will give off much better particles than it did before, and breaking different mob heads now gives off the correct particles, rather than the soul sand particle they normally would. As well as this, breaking banners will now display the correct particle rather than a wood breaking particle it displayed before. Now despite this adding some fairly small changes, I think this is a very useful resource pack as it just helps to fix some of Minecraft's inconsistencies. Speaking of Minecraft's inconsistencies, we move on to the next resource pack, Block States Plus, which changes the look of different block states within Minecraft. Now a block state is a feature that many of Minecraft's different blocks actually have. This is noticeable with different crops as each stage is a different block state. And this resource pack, Block States Plus, changes a ton of the different block states within Minecraft. This is very noticeable when looking at the carrots or the potatoes I've planted over here, as many of them now have different flower textures on them. But it's also noticeable with the many different plants within Minecraft. For example, when bamboo is fully grown, they'll have this sort of yellow tint to them, which I think looks nice. Netherwort now has different colours depending on the stage. For example, it will stay the sort of crimsony red colour it has it by default when it's first planted, but turn to a purple by the end when it is fully ready to harvest. As well as this, sugarcane has completely changed, as now 1 block of sugarcane is this little sprout in the ground, 2 blocks it almost looks like 1 block, and 3 blocks almost looks like 3 blocks. When sharing a twisting vine or it fully grows to age 25, it will now have this sort of warped fungus effect to it, which looks nice. And when a cactus is fully grown, and yes, cactus actually has ages to it, which I've just realised, it now actually has cool flower textures on it, which I do think looks really nice. When a glowberry is fully grown or is sheared, it will now have these azalea flowers on it, which looks really nice. And filling up a composter, and by the time it is fully ready to harvest, it will have bone meal sort of poking out the sides of it, which I think looks really nice. But I think this resource pack would be good to take a look at inside of my Minecraft hardcore world. And as I fly over to my main area where I've planted loads of different crop fields, you'll notice immediately all of the different changes. As we've already pointed out, the carrots and potatoes now have flower textures, which I think looks really cool. But as well as that, many of Minecraft's other blocks have changed. For example, even the leaves have the sort of bushy effect to it, which I am a massive fan of. And farmland now comes with a brand new texture, which I think looks really nice. But even as we walk through my hardcore world, you'll be able to notice a load of the different changes. Most obviously with like the sugarcane, and also these glowberries up there. I think this resource pack is really cool. Crafty's capitalized font is a simple resource pack which just changes the look of a font within Minecraft. And this resource pack simply retextures the look of the font within Minecraft to almost look more Minecrafty, and honestly I do think it looks really nice. Even jumping into my hardcore world and looking through like my inventory and all of the armor, you'll begin to notice the different font, and honestly I think this is a really nice looking font. Even just looking through all of the video settings, the font has changed. I think this resource pack does a really nice job at it. And I think it looks especially nice on the world selection screen. Now this final resource pack improves a very small feature within Minecraft. But first, just make sure you are subscribed, as I really want to do more of these resource pack videos in the future. And the best way to know if you want to see more in the future is to hit the subscribe button. But this final resource pack is known as Colourful Canines. Now this resource pack retextures the look of wolf armor in Minecraft. As before, a majority of the dyed wolf armor would have had this armadillo texture on it, which honestly I don't think looks very good. With the Colourful Canine resource pack, the majority of it changes to the colour that you've dyed for wolf armor. For example, if you dye it blue, the wolf will now even have little blue knee pads, which I think looks really nice. Now, despite this being another very small resource pack, I think this definitely does help just to add an extra feature in Minecraft, which I think should have been in the game already. And I do think this looks really nice. But let me know in the comments down below, are you a fan of this resource pack as well as the many other resource packs I've showcased in today's video? If so, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more videos like this in the future. And personally, I think my favourites will have to be the Fresh Animations Extended resource pack, but I'm also a massive fan of a smaller totem, as well as the Door Tweaks resource pack. One of the greatest ways to customize Minecraft is through using resource packs, which is why I have found some amazing Vanilla Plus Minecraft resource packs. This first resource pack is called 3D Items, which makes items 3D. This pack changes certain items like all 3 types of torches, the goat horn, fireworks, potions, splash potions, lanterns, and saplings. Honestly, I think these torches look really cool. I'm a massive fan of the really cool flame particles on the side of them. I think that looks cool. And even the placing animation looks nice. It doesn't actually change a regular torch model though. Although I don't think that's such a bad thing. I do really like what they've done with the actual items itself though. I like the look of the goat horn in the hand. It looks really cool. And when I use it, I actually hold it up to my face, which is pretty cool. Yeah, I'm a massive fan of the goat horn texture as well. The firework looks really cool, and even when I use it, you'll be able to see the actual 3D firework item, which looks really nice. The look of this honey bottle looks really cool. I'm a massive fan of what this looks like in a sort of cube bottle design. I think that looks really nice. The splash potion as well looks pretty cool. It's like sort of a mini potion and sort of on its side when you drop it. And when you throw it, yeah, that looks really nice actually. Obviously, we've got both types of lanterns as well, which just look like their normal selves when placed down on the ground. But when you hold them, they will have this really cool 3D effect, which I'm a massive fan of. I really do like the sort of chain you have to hold the lantern by. I think that looks nice. And the items of every type of sapling have also changed to their 3D effect that they'd look like if they were placed down on the ground. And just looking through all of them, I do think they all look really nice. And I guess they do sort of look like miniature trees if you place them down inside of item frames. One other item that has changed, which I really do like the look of, is the stick. I really like this idea of a stick texture, which is more 3D and actually has a little branch hanging off it. Which just makes sense, is when you chop down a tree in vanilla Minecraft, sticks do drop and they would have some sort of leaf on it. We've also got some 3D items for different blocks, like the campfires, cauldrons, hoppers, brewing stands, and bells. Now, by the looks of it, it doesn't really change what the actual blocks look like, just the items itself, which do look really nice. I really like these campfires with their sort of animated effect they have. But what do you think of this resource pack? Are you a fan? Personally, I love what the sticks look like. I really like these. Almost wish they were in vanilla Minecraft. But let me know what you think in the comments down below for the 3D items resource pack. This next resource pack is going to be great if you like the old look of Minecraft, as this is the Minecraft Classic Edition resource pack, which reverts all of Minecraft's brand new textures into the old art style, which looks pretty nice, but also changes the new existing textures into old style as well. For example, these lanterns here, and even blocks like these campfires with this really cool smoke effect. Even just flicking through the creative inventory, you'll be able to see a very big difference straight away with lots of different items. For example, even like this Nautilus shell or the raw blocks or nether quartz, these all look like different items. Even things like netherite armor has changed. And so has the sound for walking on grass. This pack also changes some other Minecraft textures, such as these blue orchids and now sort of these blue roses, which I think looks nice. The poppies are back to their rose texture, which looks pretty cool. And these are what tulips look like, and these I actually do really like. I think these look really nice. The alliums look nice as well. And even the cherry leaves, I think the cherry leaves do end up looking quite nice. But even just looking through the rest of Minecraft's blocks, you'll be able to notice some differences. Like this is nether quartz. This is what copper looks like, which this is waxed exposed, which looks a bit strange, but it doesn't look awful. These are all of the workstations, which I do like. What's this? I assume cartography table. This would be fletching table, smithing table. Yeah. Loom, obviously. Yeah, I think lots of these look nice. The blast furnace looks good, although I'm pretty sure it's off-centered, which is a bit annoying, but oh well. Other things like the chiseled bookshelf, I think that looks really nice. The decorated pot looks really cool. The concrete powders look just like coloured sand, which I think is cool. What's this? Is this granite? Oh, it is. I thought it looks more like packed mud. I think that looks nice. Deep Slate Emerald ore looks pretty cool, with obviously a different Deep Slate texture. We can look at a couple buildings and see what they look like. Yeah, I think it looks good. What's this? This is Deep Slate. Interesting. That's cobbled Deep Slate. That looks decent. What about the interiors? Obviously, got old door sounds. Yeah, all of this actually does look really nice. Even looking at different blocks like the old wool textures, they look pretty interesting. This is what concrete looks like, which is completely different. Lime concrete looks so weird. Obviously, we got all the blackstone stuff. That looks pretty interesting. Chains look nice. The Ender Dragon head's red. Piglin head's completely changed. It's more of a pig texture. That's what a honey block looks like. That's pretty interesting. Crying obsidian, obviously. What else has changed? I think I've already mentioned it, but the smoke particles actually do look really nice in my opinion. What about the sets of armor? Have these changed? Not too much. Obviously the netherite has changed though. The wood textures have now changed. This is what cherry planks look like, which is pretty interesting. Where the nether ones, these look nice as well actually. The bamboo looks pretty interesting. It's definitely a lot less saturated, but I think it does work. This is what a birch plank looks like, which is actually, as far as I'm aware, a different texture from what it originally is. Even blocks like drip leaf and bamboo have changed, which I think do look pretty nice. What else has changed? Have coral changed? Maybe a little bit. What else? The weeping vines have changed. They look almost like coral themselves. That looks pretty interesting. But Minecraft Classic Edition is a great resource pack if you prefer the older look of Minecraft's textures. This next resource pack is great if you like the look of a specific Minecraft mob. Axolotls were added in Minecraft 1.17 and are honestly some of Minecraft's cutest mobs. I just really like the look of them. But with this resource pack, Axolotl Villagers, it retextures Minecraft's villagers into axolotls. Now, this is a great resource pack if you dislike the look of Minecraft's villagers and wish they looked a bit different, as they are now axolotls. One of my favourite parts about this resource pack is the fact that they match up to their workstation, which I do think looks pretty interesting. I really like this one here with its farmer's hat, fisherman's hat. We've also got this cartographer one, which looks really nice with his little monocle. I think that looks really nice. But even other types of villagers, like this librarian here looks really nice. The cleric looks pretty cool. But honestly, I definitely recommend using the Axolotl Villagers resource pack, as I do think it looks pretty cool and pretty funny, as they are much shorter than you now, and they also just look really nice. Before I move on to the next resource pack, make sure to subscribe, as I want to see how many subscribers I can be on by the end of the year. Flowers in Minecraft are a great way to add decoration into your world, which is why I recommend using the Spring Flowers resource pack. Now this is a great resource pack as it adds loads of variation to Minecraft's different flowers. For example, taking a look at the dandelions, you'll begin to notice some slight variations. These two here look really nice. We also get the original dandelion texture to return, which is pretty cool. We can do the same with the poppies. Some of these are the same old texture, but also we do get the old rose texture. Even other flowers like the blue orchid get simple and subtle changes, but other types of flowers also get variation, such as these sunflowers, which now have these other smaller flowers on them, which I think looks really nice, as well as some taller variants, which I do think looks pretty cool. Some without the flowers as well. Yeah, I really like what these sunflowers look like. Alliums also changed to have different sizes, which I do think looks really nice. Although, I've never been a massive fan of what the allium looks like. I just think it looks just like a stem and a ball on top. I'm just not a very big fan of the allium texture in default Minecraft. At least this resource pack does help to change the texture up a little bit. But just flying through this giant field of flowers, you'll begin to notice all the different variation. Mainly to poppies and dandelions, which honestly, some of these do end up looking really nice. I'm a massive fan of these three dandelions here. I definitely consider using them in my actual Minecraft resource pack, as I do really like the look of just variated flowers, as I really do think it helps to add more detail into Minecraft. Even flowers such as rose bushes, peonies and lilacs have had some subtle changes as well, which may be hard to notice, but I do think look pretty nice. Like this peony here has got a bit of a smaller flower than maybe some of the other ones do. In my opinion, one of the most basic parts of Minecraft are the different icons, such as the heart, armor bar and the hunger bar. But this resource pack, Better Icons, fixes this. This is to be done by retexturing all of the different icons, such as the hunger bar, the heart, the armor bar. But to have a better look, I'm inside of my Minecraft hardcore world. And if you look down onto the hotbar, you'll begin to notice changes straight away, as the hardcore hearts have now changed to these sort of skull textures, which I do think look really nice. Jumping into some water, you'll begin to notice some other changes, such as the bubble icons, which I do think look really nice. And if I eat a golden apple, you'll begin to notice that even the absorption hearts in hardcore have changed to these sort of skull textures. So if you want to improve the look of icons within Minecraft, I definitely recommend using the Better Icons resource pack for Minecraft 1.21. If you enjoy building in Minecraft, Connected Paths is the perfect resource pack for you, as this pack introduces a bunch of connected textures into Minecraft. Now to make this actually work, you must install either Optifine or Continuity, which allows for custom textures, including the connected glass texture, which is honestly such an improvement to vanilla Minecraft glass. But in my opinion, Connected Paths is a great way to add detail into your world, as now if I place some cobblestone down, you'll begin to notice that the grass overlays on top of it to make the path seem a bit smaller and a bit more overgrown, which I think looks nice. Gravel will extend out further than its block, which I think looks really cool, as will sand. I think that looks really nice. If you place dirt within grass blocks, the grass sort of overlays it a little bit, which I think looks really nice. And placing down some podzol sort of spreads the podzol out some more. This is great if you love building in Minecraft, as it adds some sort of subtle changes, but changes which end up looking really nice, especially here with this coarse dirt path. I think it looks much better and much more sort of rounded off with these connected textures. Even looking at some other blocks like this moss, you'll definitely begin to notice some changes. But honestly, if you like building in Minecraft, Connected Paths is a great resource pack for you to consider using. This next resource pack is also great for adding detail into your Minecraft worlds. O's Colorful Grasses changes the colors and textures of Minecraft's grass blocks. More specifically, Minecraft's short grass and tall grass textures. As now you'll begin to notice some really cool variation between each piece of grass. Rather than them all being the same standard texture, they'll now have different shadings to them, which I think looks really nice. We've almost got some sort of darker brown ones here, some almost paler ones, and some more green ones. I think these look really nice. And as do all the tall grass variants, with some of them even having this effect to it, which almost looks a bit like a bit of wheat, or something similar to that, sort of growing on the top of this grass. This also comes in 3 different styles, and the one I'm using is the Mojang style, to keep the texture similar to what the traditional grass block looks like within Minecraft. This also changes what the ferns look like, adding in all the different shadings to it, which I think looks really cool. We've got like this sort of darker brown ones, some darker and more pale ferns. I think all of this just really helps to add more detail into your world. And if you're just decorating like big plains areas, I definitely recommend using or considering to use this resource pack. Now I found this next resource pack thanks to a help of a comment on one of my recent videos. Which reminds me, if you want me to showcase any specific Minecraft resource packs in the future, make sure to subscribe and leave a comment down below with that resource pack name, and I'm definitely considering making a video about it in the future. Now this is the Autumn Pack. The Autumn Pack resource pack completely changes the textures of Minecraft to make it look like you're playing in autumn. This is done by changing a load of the different textures, such as the birch and the oak leaves to these more orange designs, and even the grass blocks to be a bit paler, but to have these fallen leaves on top as well. Even taking a look at some of the other trees as well, you'll begin to notice some differences, as mangrove leaves look a lot paler, so do jungle trees, but acacia and dark oak leaves are completely red, which I think looks really nice. And even many of the different saplings have changed. The oak ones now have orange leaves, as do the birch ones, and the acacia and the dark oak ones now have red leaves on them. The Autumn Pack also changes other textures in Minecraft, such as carved pumpkins, to have different faces on them. For example, here we have a ghast. We've just got a traditional face, another face, a creeper face, which I do really like the look of, as well as some more smiling pumpkins, and what looks like a ghost's face as well. Brown mushrooms have also had a change, which look really nice, adding some more variation into. And the texture of beetroot has completely changed to look like candy corn instead of beetroot. Other items have changed, such as golden apples and enchanted golden apples. I guess are these sort of toffee apple designed. Beetroot are these sort of candy corn, and all the different types of stews and soups are in like Halloween buckets. Also, the pumpkin pie has had a slight texture change to it as well. And my Minecraft hardcore world looks pretty cool with this resource pack on. So, if you wish Minecraft had seasons, or just really like the look of autumn or fall, I recommend using the Autumn Pack. One of the biggest inconsistencies within Minecraft is the colours of terracotta. For example, this is what cyan terracotta looks like. This just looks grey. This is what white terracotta looks like, which just doesn't look white at all. And this is what black terracotta looks like, which doesn't really look black, it looks more brown. Even the other textures, like this is pink terracotta, and this is what light grey terracotta looks like. Now, I'm not saying these colours are bad, I'm just saying they're not very accurate. Now, the resource pack accurate terracotta colours completely retextures some of the terracotta blocks within Minecraft to be more accurate. For example, this is what cyan terracotta now looks like, this is what white terracotta looks like, and this is what black terracotta looks like. Now, if you've built with terracotta before in your Minecraft world, this may not be the perfect resource pack for you, as it may affect what your builds look like. But if you haven't built with terracotta before, this is a very cool resource pack to use, as it just changes the look of terracotta to be more in line with what their name is actually like. And honestly, I do think some of these textures end up looking really nice. I really like the look of this light grey terracotta. I think this looks really good, and would definitely work more in terraforming. I think the cyan one looks good. I really like the new black one. That looks really nice. Almost looks like deep slate or bedrock. I think that's pretty cool. The pink one looks really nice as well. And the white one, I really like the look of this white one as well. But honestly, even the look of something like this, where I use some of this light blue terracotta, I think this looks really nice now. Even just normal Minecraft builds begin to look a lot better with this resource pack as well, as this is what a traditional village house would look like now, as the white terracotta texture has changed. One cool thing as well is they are different from the concrete blocks, so you can add more variation into your world as well. This final resource pack changes one thing within Minecraft: the font. Simply Improved Font is a great resource pack, as it simply improves the font within Minecraft. This is immediately noticeable on the world setting buttons, as they've now got really cool textures. It looks much smoother. Even just scrolling through the inventory, you'll begin to notice a change, and honestly, I think this font looks really nice. And despite it being very simple, I'd honestly really recommend using this, as I think it just does improve the font in Minecraft just that little bit more. But let me know in the comments, do you like the look of this simply improved font within Minecraft? And let me know in the comments which of these Minecraft resource packs have been your favourite. Personally, I'm a massive fan of the spring flowers and the colourful grass resource packs. Default vanilla Minecraft looks great. However, it can be improved. One way to do this is downloading resource packs off of Vanilla Tweaks. Vanilla Tweaks is a resource pack picker containing hundreds of different retextures for mobs, blocks, and items. And today I want to start by going through all of the different categories, showing off all of the different resource packs. And we're going to be starting with the aesthetic category. And later on, we'll be moving on to a load of different resource packs, which I definitely recommend using. But first, we're starting off with the aesthetic category with our first resource pack, Alternate Block Destruction. With this resource pack installed, when you mine a block, the block breaking animation is actually different. And this one, I think, actually does look really cool. If you can see it here on the dirt, instead of going from the middle, it goes from the outside and adds a really cool animated breaking texture. I think that looks really cool. And this resource pack is very useful, as the line will go around the block to show how close you are to breaking the block. Next up with Vanilla Tweaks, we have Black Nether Brick. This simply changes all the nether brick textures to be black rather than their purpley red texture they normally would be. Honestly, I don't think this looks too bad. However, I don't really build with nether brick enough to really use it properly in build. However, I am a massive fan of these black nether brick fences. These could be really good for some sort of custom tree, as we don't really have any black fences in Minecraft at the minute. Next up, we have a resource pack known as Cherry Picking. This simply retextures what the cake looks like. Instead of having a giant centered cherry, it just has smaller ones on the outside. And honestly, this doesn't look too bad. And we also have unbundled hay bales and unbundled dried kelp, which simply takes off the straps that will be on dried kelp or hay bales. And honestly, I think the hay bale looks pretty nice. I think that would be really cool for some sort of thatching roof. I think that would look good. And this dried kelp block really just introduces a new block you could build with within Minecraft. Next up, we have solid honey blocks and solid slime blocks. To be honest, I'm not a massive fan of this solid honey block texture. However, the slime doesn't look too bad. These resource packs basically aim to just get rid of any of the transparent textures within Minecraft, which I'm pretty sure would help to improve performance slightly, although I don't really notice a change. Next, we have Desaturated Purple and Desaturated Dark Oak. These resource packs simply decrease the saturation on Purple and Dark Oak. This is quite obvious on the Purple, as you can tell it's much more faded, whereas on the Dark Oak, I actually think this is almost an improvement. I really like the look of it. Next, we'll take a look at some of the aesthetic item retextures. However, make sure to subscribe first, as I want to see how many subscribers I can be on by the end of the year. And here are the item retextures. Starting off, we have Splash Bottles of XP. As this just does make sense, because you do throw them to get the XP, you don't drink it. And honestly, this is a really nice retexture. Next, all of the stems have been renamed to logs, which makes it very easy to search up every type of wood in the creative inventory. We've also got animated campfires and soul campfires, as well as vertical and horizontal nuggets. With these resource packs installed, I have flipped around the iron nuggets to make it look like it's a golden nugget texture, and a golden nugget to make it look like an iron nugget texture. I've also installed the 2D and accurate spyglass retextures. These simply change the sprite of the spyglass to be 2D, including when you're holding it up to your eye, and it retextures it to make it look like it's made out of copper and amethyst. And it also does change the border slightly when you're zooming in with the spyglass. We've also got brown leather, which changes the actual leather texture to be a bit darker, which also changes what the item frame looks like. We've also got flint tipped arrows. As in Minecraft, arrows are crafted with flint, and it also works when you're using a bow, and also for the actual arrow entity. And we've also got HD shield banner patterns, which basically makes it so when you put a banner on a shield, the actual banner pattern will show up, rather than it being a different descaled version. Another campfire tweak we have is ashless campfires, which removes the ash part of a campfire, which you would normally see if there's a flame lit, but if we put this out quickly, it will remove that ash. This actually really helps with different builds, as it looks so much nicer without a random pile of ash. Next, we've got some tweaks to armor, starting with plain leather armor, which removes like a brown overlay on top of the leather armor. This looks pretty cool. I like the helmet. We've got a golden crown, which retextures the golden helmet to be a crown. And we've also got classic style netherite armor, which reverts what netherite armor looks like to be more in line with diamond or iron armor. And Vanilla Tweaks also offers a load of different elytra retextures, such as from the Allay, Phantom, Vex, and Dragon. Here we have a Phantom elytra. Honestly, this item texture looks really cool. And when you apply it, It actually doesn't change if you're wearing a cape, but if I take my cape off, you'll see we have phantom wings on, which look really nice. We've now also got the softer wool textures, which honestly makes wool look really nice. When you kill an iron golem in Minecraft, they have a chance of dropping a poppy. However, their default texture has yellow flowers on them, which is why this resource pack from Vanilla Tweaks, Red Iron Golem Flowers, fixes this by giving iron golems these red flowers all along their vines. As it just does make sense, when I kill them, they have a chance of dropping poppies, and now they'll actually have poppies on them. If we take a look closely at this enchanting table, you'll begin to notice that there will be a few particles flying towards it. Now this resource pack, Colourful Enchanting Table Particles, adds these colourful particles into the game. Without this resource pack on, I believe they are all just white, so this resource pack is really cool, as it just makes it look like they're all coming from the bookshelves. I really like this pack. Next, we've got the 1.21.2 Redstone Torch. Obviously, if you're in the newer versions of Minecraft, this resource pack won't be useful. However, I'm still in Minecraft 1.21, so this is quite a cool resource pack, as it does add the default brand new look to the Redstone Torch. For this next resource pack, I'm inside of my Minecraft Hardcore world, as this is the Warm Glow resource pack from Vanilla Tweaks. This basically just adds a slight warmer glow when you have a light source within your Minecraft world. As you'll begin to notice, especially if I drop down the brightness a little bit, it's much more of a warmer light, it's much more orange, and yeah, it's just much nicer compared to the default sort of whiter light. Another resource pack that Vanilla Tweaks offers is the Endless End Rod, which removes the base from the end rod, so it's just one big bar. I think this would look really good in some sort of like modern or futuristic build, or even for some sort of fence. I think that looks really cool. And there it is both ways. I think, yeah, this looks really nice. In Minecraft, to craft scaffolding, you need 6 bamboo and a piece of string. However, when you craft it, it's more like a bamboo plank texture. However, with the Vanilla Tweak resource pack Accurate Scaffolding, it turns scaffolding green. And honestly, I think this is quite a nice texture. I wouldn't use it personally, just because I do like the look of default scaffolding. However, this is a really cool design. I really do like the green bamboo it sort of has on it. Yeah, I think this looks really nice, and can definitely work for some sort of table. We've also got the Fancier Fences resource pack, which changes all of the fence textures in Minecraft to be similar to sort of a strip log texture rather than a plank. And I've been using this resource pack for a long time now, and honestly, I really like it. Next, we've got the Moss Carpet Overhang resource pack, which adds this sort of overhang dropping down from the moss carpet itself. I think this looks really nice, and just adds more detail to the blocks in Minecraft. Plus, the item texture looks really nice. Next, from the aesthetic category, we have smoother warped planks, which subtly changes what the warped plank looks like in Minecraft, just to be a bit smoother. We've also got consistent bamboo planks, to keep in line with other wooden planks within Minecraft, and this also transfers over to the mosaic block, which honestly I wish I used more because it does look interesting. However, I just haven't really built with it ever. And to be honest, lots of people probably don't even realize this is a block within Minecraft. Next, we've got alternate cut copper, which changes the cut copper texture to be more in line with what it originally looked like when it was revealed at Minecraft Live. The only annoyance I've noticed with this is the line is just not lined up at all from this side. And you can look here, it's a pixel off, which is really annoying. One of the blocks that is missing within Minecraft are polished andesite diorite and granite bricks. However, this resource pack simply changes the polished blocks into these brick forms. I think my favourite of these are the andesite ones. I think they match really well with stone bricks. Yeah, that looks really nice. I really want these in the game. Hopefully they'll add them one day. In the aesthetic category, we also have glass doors and trapdoors. This resource pack is pretty interesting as it adds windows to each of the doors and trapdoors within Minecraft. Some of these actually look really nice. I really like this acacia design. However, I'm less keen on something like this spruce door design. I don't think that looks amazing. The copper and iron doors look quite nice though. And then we can take a look at all of the trapdoors as well, which all look pretty interesting. For some reason, the dark oak one doesn't have one until you open it. I think that looks cool though. Yeah, all of these look really nice. Once again, I don't really like the spruce one, as spruce trapdoors is probably my favourite block within Minecraft, so it doesn't really need a texture change. Another aesthetic change from Vanilla Tweaks is singular glazed terracotta. In default vanilla Minecraft, you'd have to place 4 glazed terracotta in a pattern to create a pattern. However, with this resource pack, it just adds the pattern onto one single block. This makes all of the glazed terracotta blocks look so much nicer for decoration. Apart from the magenta glazed terracotta, I still feel like this is a useless and just disgusting looking block. I really hate this block so much. But I'm pretty much a fan of all the other retextures. Finally, from the aesthetic category, I need to turn my world to night, as this is the More Zombies resource pack. With Vanilla Tweaks, you can select any type of default Minecraft skin to be the zombie skin within Minecraft. However, if you have Optifine, or random entity textures and custom entity model mod installed, they'll actually add all of them into the game as variated forms, and these look really cool. If we just spawn a load here, you'll begin to notice all of the different default skins within Minecraft. And obviously we've got the main ones here. We've got Steve, we've also got the Alex here, and we've got all of the other ones, which, to be honest, I don't really know the names of. But these do look really nice and just help to add more variation within Minecraft. And these ones also have really interesting names. What does that say? Subscribe? Guess you should listen to the zombies. But that's it for the aesthetic vanilla tweak changes. Now, onto terrain. And loading in with this resource pack, the change is immediately noticeable. As obviously the grass is much greener, but we'll get onto that resource pack later. As first, I want to cover bushy leaves. This resource pack simply adds extra leaves coming out of the leaf blocks within Minecraft. And honestly, if we look at a tree, I think this looks really nice. Although, to be honest, I'm not a massive fan of these item textures. But the blocks themselves do look really cool, and they definitely help to add more detail within your Minecraft worlds. Next, we've got clearer water, which, well, it makes water clearer. It's quite a self-explanatory resource pack, but I think this looks pretty cool. And we've also got darker dark oak leaves. As in default Minecraft, for some reason, oak leaves and dark oak leaves are the same texture. They look the exact same. But with this resource pack from Vanilla Tweaks, dark oak leaves simply change texture a little bit to look a lot darker, which in comparison to oak leaves makes them look really cool, and this could definitely be used in some sort of custom tree design. Next up, it's pretty obvious that the whole world is much greener, as this is the lush grass all around resource pack, which changes the texture of grass in pretty much every biome to be a much greener and much more saturated colour, similar to the jungle biome. However, you can also install the golden savanna resource pack to change the grass block in savannas to be a much more golden colour. Alternate bedrock changes the bedrock texture within Minecraft, and honestly I think this is a much better bedrock texture, as I think the other one is a bit too harsh. I just really like this design. As it's daytime, we can look up into the sky to see a circular sun, and when we turn it to night there'll be a circular moon. From the Vanilla Tweak resource packs, circular sun and moon. I think this looks really good, and honestly this is probably better than the default sun and moon within Minecraft. We've also got circular logs to make logs look a bit more realistic, and honestly I think these look really cool. And we've also got smoother oak logs, just to make the oak log texture a bit less harsh and just much smoother. We've also got the smoother stones resource pack, which isn't as noticeable on andesite, but as you look at diorite and granite you'll begin to notice a big change, as all of the sort of harsher textures have been removed. For example, on this diorite there are a lot less dark patches. Now if we take a look at the dirt, coarse dirt and rooted dirt, you'll see that there are no longer any grey pebbles in them, as these are the pebbleless dirt resource packs. And honestly, I'm not sure if I like this too much, but it's a decent looking resource pack, especially if you don't really like the grey dots within your dirt blocks. We've also got uniform ores, which changes all of the ore textures to be the original diamond ore texture. And yeah, I'm not sure about this resource pack, as it does look a bit weird with ores like copper, emerald and lapis, which actually never had this original texture. We've also got whiter snow, which removes all the blue hints from snow blocks within Minecraft. And with a fancy sunflower resource pack, it changes the sunflower texture to look a lot nicer. And you can also add 3-block tooled sunflowers. Obviously, as this is a resource pack rather than a mod, you can't break the top bit, you can only break the 2 stems that would exist before. This is a really cool resource pack though. And if you get annoyed by grass or tall grass within Minecraft, the shorter grass and shorter tall grass resource packs are very useful, as they just slightly withdraw the height of these blocks. Next up from the terrain category on Vanilla Tweaks, we have something known as lower and sides, which changes all the looks of a grass block and all its variants. For example, here we have a full grass block, where there's no dirt showing on it unless you do look at the bottom. This is just what the default mycelium and podzol looks like. We've also got something similar, the dirt path. I think that looks pretty cool, just a full path block. We've also got something similar to the snow, however this one has a little bit of dirt poking out the bottom. Vanilliums also can get changed, and honestly this is such a cool looking block. Obviously you couldn't really build with this in default vanilla Minecraft, as these would eventually turn into netherrack, but this would be such a cool block to exist within Minecraft. But those were all the terrain changes from Vanilla Tweaks. Next up we move on to the variated category, which is some of the coolest textures from Vanilla Tweaks. And setting this resource pack up, you will begin to notice a change straight away. First of all, we've got variated dirt, which actually adds the grey dots in to the blocks, even adding some bigger circles of them as well. And honestly, I really like these variated dirt resource packs, as well as all these variated resource packs really. I use most of them in my Minecraft world every day. Next is variated coarse dirt, which just changes the angles at which coarse dirt spawns within your world. just to make them a bit more rotated. I think that looks cool. This is similar with grass and mycelium. All the patterns on them are sort of rotated and flipped. Cobblestone also gets some slight variations, although it's quite difficult to notice unless you look sort of straight at it. Moss block also gets rotated. Bricks have some really cool variations. I love the different colours on them now. You can also install the variated birch resource pack, which changes the patterns on birch wood. We've got this one with just a single black dot on it, whereas this one's a default one. Honestly, these look pretty cool. We've also got the variated mushroom blocks, which changes the amount of spots that spawn on your red mushroom blocks. And we've also got the randomly rotated crimson and warped nyliums. We've also got variated terracotta colours, as well as variated stone, variated planks, variated gravel, and variated endstone. And we've also got the variated unpolished stones. Now, probably my favourite variated part of this Vanilla Tweak resource pack are the variated bookshelves. I just think these look so much nicer. You'll also notice that these are actually connected. There are no sort of borders between each of the bookshelves, but we'll get into that in a minute. Vanilla Tweaks also gives the ability to have randomly rotated sunflowers. As in default Minecraft, all sunflowers will point east. However, with this resource pack, it changes it so they can face north, east, or south as well as west. And we've also got variated villagers, which changes the sort of skin color of villagers depending on the biome that they spawn in. For example, in deserts and savannas, they'll have darker skin, whereas in tigers and plains and snowy biomes, they'll have much paler skins. But that's all of the variated features from Vanilla Tweaks, and it's time to move on to connected textures. Now, I've already shown this off with bookshelves, but basically this just removes the harsh border that there would be between the bookshelves to make them look a lot nicer. This also works with polished stones, and there is a little bit of sort of glitching on the side of the texture. I'm pretty sure that's because I have a load of mods installed such as sodium and continuity that changes that, but in default Minecraft it should look pretty normal. But just taking a look at some of these connected polished stones, I think these look really nice. Especially this polished diorite, like if we just surround it all around, this center block looks really nice. It looks a lot like calcite. I just think these look really cool. Same with the andesite, obviously, the deep slate. We've got the tuff and the blackstone as well. And we can also get connected iron and lapis blocks, which also do look pretty interesting. Resource packs are a great way to customize Minecraft. So here are 10 plus resource packs for Minecraft 1.20.1.4, the Garden Awakens update. And we're starting off with a Programmer Art Fix resource pack. This resource pack simply reverts all of Minecraft's textures to their old forms. This is noticeable on blocks such as logs. You'll see they have their old textures. If we fly over here, you'll actually begin to notice all of the planks have their old textures. But this is also further updated with Minecraft's newer blocks. As we can see right here with the cherry planks, we've now got the old texture for them. And if we go into the creative inventory, we can even see things like the newly added pale wood that now has the old plank texture. Now, this resource pack is great if you prefer the older look of Minecraft. This pack also changes a lot of the ore textures. However, lots of them do revert to their newer sort of form. For example, this redstone, this gold, they're their newer textures. However, with the old sort of art style, I think these look actually really nice. I'm a massive fan of this iron ore. I think that looks great. It also changes all the deep slate ores, obviously, reverting the nether quartz back to its original self, which makes me think, yeah, netherrack used to look really ugly, didn't it? And to be honest, so did, like, wet sponge. That just looks awful, and so did jack-o'-lanterns. Like, this is what old Minecraft used to look like, and I'm really not a fan of some of these textures. I mean, I guess some of them aren't too bad. I think the old iron block texture looks fine, so does the gold and the diamond. And honestly, these sort of programmer art style for the copper blocks actually look really nice. This resource pack also reverts all of the flowers back to their original programmer art style. We've got the old poppies, dandelions, daisies, blue orchids, alliums, which, yeah, I don't like the allium texture. It just looks like a lollipop or something. I know that's what alliums realistically look like. I'm just not a massive fan of them. We've also got an old sort of design of the river rose. That looks amazing. That's like the old rose texture within Minecraft, which was replaced with a poppy. But yeah, that looks really nice. I'm actually a really big fan of that. And if we take a look through the creative inventory, you'll see a load of other differences as well. Obviously, we've also got the old glass texture. And I can't believe we used to play Minecraft with this texture. This just looks awful. Like, you can barely see through it. It's just got the lines going right through. It just looks so bad. We've also got program art style texture for the newer items in the game, such as resin bricks and resin clumps. I actually think these don't look too bad. And we've also got item textures for the netherite armor. As you can see here, if I throw the items on the floor, like for example, that chest plate looks completely different. And honestly, I don't think it looks too bad. The cactus block has also changed, and I honestly forgot this is what cactus used to look like. Now overall, I prefer the new textures in Minecraft. However, if you do like the look of older Minecraft textures, Programmer Art Fix is a perfect resource pack for you for Minecraft 1.21.4. Before I move on to the next resource pack, make sure to subscribe, as I'll be catching 5 fish for every brand new subscriber that I get in the month of December. And hey, I'm getting pretty close to 10,000 subscribers, so make sure to subscribe. Also, thanks for 9,000 subscribers, I really appreciate it. This next resource pack is known as Unique Dark, which adds dark UIs into Minecraft. This is noticeable as the hotbar now has a darker texture. It's got like those blue hotbar outlines. The hearts and the hunger have different textures. All of the menu buttons, they have different textures. I really like the colored text actually. You can see what difficulty the world is. Peaceful's blue, easy is green, normal is yellow, and hard is red. Even opening my inventory, you'll begin to see a difference. That recipe book actually looks really nice. We've got the whole recipe book as well. That looks really cool. And if we look through all of the functional blocks, we'll actually see some really cool textures. This inside of a crafting table looks really nice. This custom hammer on the smithing table looks really nice. This furnace looks really good. Now, lots of these don't actually have their textures changed, but I imagine they will be changed in the future. For example, this smoker doesn't have any unique changes, whereas this furnace does. The enchanting table, yeah, that looks really nice. What other ones can we take a look at? The anvil, yeah, I like that. It's almost like an anvil-shaped UI. I think that looks really cool. The chest, yeah, that's cool. Barrel as well, that's really nice. The ender chest is the same as the chest, but that still looks really nice. Now this resource pack is perfect if you like playing Minecraft on dark mode. There's also some more texture changes if we have a look at shulker boxes. They've got these really cool UIs as well. Spawn eggs in Minecraft are essential if you play in creative. However, it's very hard to tell the difference between a lot of these textures. Now, if we take a look at this spawn egg, what would you guess it is? Is it a silverfish? Is it a skeleton? Is it an invoker? Wrong, it's actually a panda spawn egg. Spawn eggs, honestly, are quite difficult to tell apart if you're not used to them. Which is why the resource pack, Mob Crate, is a very useful resource pack, as it turns every spawn egg into the game to show the mob texture in a little crate. And honestly, I'm a massive fan of some of these textures. Like the sniffer looks amazing, so does the slime, the skeleton, the glow squid, axolotl. Even like things like something so simple as a cod spawn egg. That looks really nice. And obviously this has been updated, so we get the creaking spawn egg as it is in a little crate. That just looks so cool. Obviously, as it's a resource pack, these all do just work the same. Oh, yeah, I forgot Zoglins kill every mob in sight. But honestly, these textures are unreal. Just some of them look really nice. Like, even something so simple like an ocelot one, that looks amazing. And also, all of these fish spawn eggs just look amazing. And just remember, I'm catching 5 fish for every brand new subscriber that I get on my channel in the month of December. So subscribe. Anyway, shameless promoting aside, I'm honestly such a fan of these. Wow, that llama one. Yeah, that looks really nice. I'm a fan of that, obviously. I'm a llama, but like, yeah, that's such a cool texture. This next resource pack is called Dig Simple Pack, which basically just simplifies all of the textures in Minecraft. Now, loading onto the world with this resource pack, you'll begin to see an immediate change. This grass block texture is completely simplified. Even like the things like the fire, that's simplified. All the workstations are simplified. Obviously, this resource pack just simplifies everything, but it does such a good job at it. I think these are glazed terracotta. Whoa, those are the paintings. They actually look really cool. But yeah, this whole Minecraft world just looks so much simpler now. Like the birch log. Honestly, these textures don't even look too bad. I think they look really nice. However, the only downside in my opinion with this pack are the item textures. I just don't think they look that good. Like, I wouldn't even known they would die, to be honest. But I think they're a bit too blurry. If we take a look at something like the netherite sword, I think that texture is just a bit too sort of blurry. But it's sort of easy to tell what they are. Wow, is that a totem? That actually looks really cool. But honestly, I think this resource pack looks nice. Like, obviously, you may not be a fan of it in a pre-existing world, as builds may look amazing. But honestly, I don't think the textures are awful. That villager also looks really funny. Now, if we walk around my hardcore world, you'll notice immediate change. And honestly, like from a distance, that looks just like a jungle on a stony shores. That looks fine. It's only when you sort of zoom in, you'll begin to notice the changes. Obviously, the mobs have also had changes. This chicken looks much more simplified. Basically only got a couple of colours to it. Same with the pig and the sheep over there. But like, this is coarse dirt. Some of the blocks just don't look amazing in my opinion. Like, this is coarse dirt. It doesn't really look like it. It looks more like farmland, but definitely simplified. Obviously, we can take a look at all the pale wood blocks. That looks much more simplified as well. But yeah, honestly, it's not an awful looking resource pack. I just don't really like the item textures. I think they're a bit too blurry. I know they have to be though, as that's sort of a point of a resource pack. I think from far away, like just looking at that tree, for example, that doesn't look bad. Even if we zoom in, that doesn't look awful. But like from up close, they just don't look as good. This also sort of reminds me of like a plastic resource pack, if you can remember that from console editions of Minecraft. Sort of reminds me of that. Wow, I wouldn't have even guessed that was gravel, to be honest. I thought that would be stone, but that looks like the stone texture. Yeah. Honestly though, I think this resource pack is pretty cool. And I also feel like this resource pack would definitely be used for people who like to do PvP. Now, one of my favourite things to do in Minecraft is to plant fields and do farming. As is evident, I planted over 2,000 beetroot last year. Which is why this world is a great place to showcase this next resource pack, as this is the Bountiful Crops resource pack, which simply just changes all of the crop textures in Minecraft. Now if we take a look at something like wheat, that already looks different. It almost looks like there's sort of different strands of it planted into the ground. It's also taller than a block now, which is quite cool. Things like potatoes have changed. These actually look really nice. Obviously they do just drop normal potatoes as before, but they sort of have this more 3D texture to it now, which is cool. The carrots have also changed. These look really cool. So do the beetroot. I think these look really nice. Also, I've just noticed the farmland texture's actually changed as well. Oh, I've fallen. If we look a bit closer, you'll see that normally the farmland actually just cuts off at the top of the texture, but now it goes down the block a bit, and I think that looks really nice. And to be honest, all of these textures really remind me of what the pitcher pod looks like. Like, that's such a cool texture, and I'm glad this resource pack actually adds more into the game. For example, if we obviously take a look at something like a carrot, I think that looks really nice. I really like the stem on top as well. Obviously though, as it's more than a block, you can't actually interact with the stem at all. It's only the original carrot texture that you can interact with. But even just like planting a carrot like that, that looks really nice. But if you like to do a lot of farming within your Minecraft world, this could be the perfect resource pack for you. Have you ever wanted to see what Minecraft looks like if all of the textures were made on Microsoft Paint? Well, now you can, with the MS Painted Minecraft resource pack. Now this resource pack simply changes all of the textures to look like they were designed on Microsoft Paint with the default 20 colours using a mouse. And yeah, you can definitely tell, that's soul sand, that actually looks really funny. But honestly, if you have a long-term Minecraft world, this probably isn't the perfect resource pack for you, but it is fun to look around and play with. Like, all of these light blocks are animated, which aren't even a thing in vanilla Minecraft, but these look really cool. Like that, I think, is that crying obsidian? It is, that looks really cool. And wow, if we open the inventory, yeah, that is definitely a change straight away. Wow. Yeah, lots of these have such unique textures now. Like, just look at this netherite sword texture. That's really cool. Oh my god, that iron golem looks hilarious. He looks so upset. Some of these textures are really cool. Like, even things like that stone cutter, that looks really nice. And like, that fletching table looks really cool. Some of these textures, obviously, it's at the ended chest. It's so purple. It's got an eye on it as well. Wow. Oh my god, the mob heads are so cool. But the skulls actually do look really nice. I do like that effect where they're not a complete block. Steve skin. The zombie actually does look really nice, as does the creeper. But yeah, this is such a funny resource pack to look at. It's just so much more vibrant. Obviously, the other mobs like the panda have had their textures changed. And this guy looks like he's seen something dark. Like, why are you so surprised? And this resource pack is obviously updated for the newest Minecraft version. Meaning blocks like the pale woods have had their textures changed. Same with blocks like resin. And so is the creaking. Yeah, that guy looks really weird. What is that villager? That looks... wow. Yeah, you look miserable. But I think it's only right that we take a look at this resource pack inside my Minecraft Hardcore world. Now, this is what my Minecraft Hardcore world would look like if it was made with Microsoft Paint, using the MS Painted resource pack. Yeah, oh my god, some of these textures. What does a cat look like? I'm quite scared for it to turn around and look. Are you going to look at me? Oh my god, you're hideous. But like... that outline of a berry bush looks cool. These flowers, obviously. Obviously, some blocks are quite easy to tell which are which. What's this? Is this an oak leaf or is it a birch? It's a birch leaf. Birch leaves are yellow, apparently. That doesn't look too bad. I'm actually quite a fan of, like, this sort of golden leaf texture in this hardcore world. Oh my god. That dog looks like he's seen something as well. Like, oh, look at his tongue. If we just fly around... whoa, the sun. It's got sunglasses on. That's quite cool. But yeah, it's just so much more vibrant. Wow. This resource pack is honestly quite cool, but obviously I wouldn't play with it all the time. It'd be fun for some sort of challenge. Like, obviously from a distance as well, it doesn't look too bad. Like, if we look up at my castle over there, other than like the vibrant grass, you won't begin to see a difference. Only when we sort of seriously zoom in will you see all the individual textures. Yeah, I'm not sure about this resource pack. It looks really cool though. And you know what? I actually really like this netherite axe texture. I think that looks really cool. Now quickly, do you notice anything different about my skin? Has anything changed? Well, what if I told you it was the fact that I'm wearing a full set of netherite armor? Now this next resource pack is known as Invisible Armor Models, and it essentially just turns all of the armor types, other than the Turtle Shell and Elytra, invisible. But why would you want this resource pack to begin with? Now let's just say you have a good looking Minecraft skin and you want to show it off all of the time, but you can't because of your armor. Well, this resource pack just gets rid of the texture of armor. Obviously, I'm actually still wearing full netherite at the minute. It actually terrified me to do that, just in case I wasn't wearing armor. But I'm obviously wearing full netherite armor. As you can see, I'll put my chest plate back on. But you can just see my full skin. And honestly, I could find this resource pack really useful, as I'm terrified of just taking my armor off in this hardcore world. As I've survived over 2,000 days, over 2 years, I don't want to lose this world in a stupid way where I'm taking a screenshot of myself with no armor. This is why this resource pack could be very useful, as I just need to apply a resource pack now to have no armor showing up, rather than actually taking all of it off. And obviously, as this is a resource pack, it doesn't have any effect on the actual game itself, it just changes what the texture looks like. Now, honestly, I understand why this resource pack won't be useful for most players. However, for the small amount of players who would find this useful, I would definitely recommend using the Invisible Armor Models resource pack. This next resource pack is known as No Block Break Particles, and it essentially removes every breaking block particle in Minecraft. For example, if I place down a few grass blocks and remove them, you'll notice that no particles fly out of them. Now, this resource pack's aim is just to make Minecraft look much smoother, and I think it does achieve it. If I break a block, it sort of just instantly pops off without revealing any textures. And I don't think it looks too bad. And obviously you can just turn off all particles in your game settings. However, there may be particles you like seeing in Minecraft, which is why this resource pack is very useful, as it just removes all of the breaking ones, just so that all of the particles don't just sort of appear on your screen and make it sort of overstimulating to look at. Now, this next resource pack actually used to be a mod. However, with Minecraft's newer updates, it's actually possible in the form of a resource pack. Now, this resource pack is known as the One's Eating Animations pack, which simply provides eating animations for all of the foods and consumables in Minecraft without the use of a mod. Honestly, I think some of these textures are really cool. If I start eating this pufferfish, you'll actually see that its eyes widen and it looks more shocked as you start to eat it. Obviously, you shouldn't be eating pufferfish though. When you're eating a fish, the bone will appear. Eating an apple, the core will appear. Like, for example, drinking a suspicious stew, you'll begin to see the bowl texture returning. Honestly, I think these are some really cool textures within Minecraft. And I'm glad this is part of a resource pack now, as honestly, waiting for constant mods to update, it was quite frustrating. But now that it's in a resource pack, you can just use it in vanilla Minecraft. Now, this resource pack, I've actually showed off a ton of times on my channel before, but this is Vanilla Tweaks. Now, Vanilla Tweaks essentially just offers some more tweaks you can add to your vanilla Minecraft experience. For example, I've actually got a smaller crosshair, and you'll also notice that leaves actually have a more bushy texture now. But Vanilla Tweaks is recently updated to the newest version, so it's worth showing some of these tweaks. For example, you can get circular logs, which changes the square top log texture to be circular. And honestly, I really like this, and it does obviously change to new pale wood. Also, when I open my creative inventory, there'll now be an outline over the block I'm hovering on, which you sort of don't notice isn't a feature in vanilla Minecraft. But this is actually added with a resource pack, and it looks really nice. Now, Vanilla Tweaks offers a load of other textures. One which would be very good in this new update is the dark oak leaves on top of the bushy leaves, as this changes the dark oak leaf texture to be a darker shade compared to the oak leaf texture, as in default Minecraft they're actually the same, and I think this works really well with the new pale oak leaf texture, as now there are 3 different shades of oak leaves in Minecraft. Vanilla Tweaks honestly offers loads of different textured tweaks, and honestly I recommend you check out one of the full videos I've uploaded recently on my channel, where I go through some of the first categories. With Minecraft's brand new update 1.21.4, it allowed for custom emissive textures to be added. This is obvious on textures such as the eye blossom, which have a subtle glow to them, which honestly looks really nice. But with the resource pack Vanilla Emissive Ores, it adds glowing ores into vanilla Minecraft. If we take a look at all of these, you'll begin to see an immediate change. Like the redstone ores glowing, obviously like the diamond ores glowing, even iron ore and copper ore are glowing. Coal has this sort of subtle glow to it, which I think looks really cool. Nether quartz, yeah, that looks really nice. Emeralds as well. Even like things like gilded blackstone have some glowing textures. If I turn the world back to day, you'll notice obviously they don't glow, as they don't need to give off a light source. As soon as I turn it back to night though, they do give off a glowing light source. Obviously, they don't actually give off a light source though, because this is just a texture change and not like a vanilla feature. But it does add, like, it's just this really cool glow into the game. And this would be very useful if you're exploring caves, as you'll actually see where all of the ores are. Like, I wouldn't have guessed there were diamonds over there, but now that they glow, you can see it easily. Same with the iron. over there we've got some more iron, some redstone, some gold over there. Honestly, these textures are so nice. Like there's some more diamonds there. I just really like the glowing ore feel. Now, if glowing ores were actually added to the base Minecraft game, I don't think every ore should have a glowing texture to it. I think things like iron don't need a glow to it. They're too common. Same with like copper. But rarer ores, I think like redstone and diamonds, I think they could definitely do with some glowing textures, especially if you're in these deep dark caves. But there we go, they were 10 plus resource packs for Minecraft 1.20.1.4, the Garden Awakens update. Now, let me know in the comments down below which resource pack you'd be most likely to use. Personally, I think I really like the glowing ore texture and I'll definitely continue to use it in the future. Resource packs are a great way to transform the look of Minecraft. So today I found a bunch of different resource packs that you can use for Minecraft 1.21.5 Spring to Life. First of all, we'll take a look at Vanilla Tweaks, which is a resource pack picker, which has a load of updated packs for this new version of Minecraft. Such as changes to the brand new Firefly bush, changes to the new spawn egg textures, as well as changes to the new mob variants added, such as the cows and the pigs. The first pack from Vanilla Tweaks I want to take a look at is Old Fireflies, which essentially reverts the Firefly texture to what it looked like when it was showcased at Minecraft Live a few years ago. And you can actually tell the design straight away on the Firefly bush, as these will now be sort of greener colours, and if I set it to night, and the Firefly particles begin to spawn, you'll see the old design with these sort of black and green pixels, rather than all of the white pixels that are actually added into Minecraft. Inside of Minecraft 1.21.5, we got a load of updates to all of the spawn eggs. And honestly, I really prefer these spawn eggs. I love the sort of unique designs of all of these. However, Vanilla Tweaks offers a resource pack, which reverts all of the spawn eggs to their original designs. And to be honest, if you've played Minecraft for a long time, like I have, you'll be able to know all of these spawn eggs straight away. Like this one's a hoglin. This one here is like a polar bear. We've got Vex. But if you're a newer player, I definitely recommend using the new designs. They're honestly so much better. But this is just an option for players who've been playing the game for a long time, or just prefer the older look of the spawn eggs. As previously mentioned, Vanilla Tweaks also offers some redesigns for different mobs. So if we take a look at the cows or the pigs, they'll actually no longer have snouts. It will be completely flat on their face. This is what I believe a pig used to look like in sort of alpha and beta Minecraft. The snout is reverted on the cow, which was actually just added in 1.21.5. But this also carries across to the mob variants. You'll see here the cow no longer has a 3D snout, and it's the same with the pigs. Even the cold pig right here, if he looks at me, there we go, he doesn't have a 3D snout anymore, which honestly definitely looks a bit strange, especially on the pig. The cow I'm used to because I've played Minecraft for such a long time when they didn't have snouts, whereas the pig, yeah, that just looks really weird. It looks so flat on their face. Whilst not added in 1.21.5, as this was added in the Garden Awakens update, Vanilla Tweaks also offers a redesigned texture for resin, as it slightly desaturates the blocks. And honestly, I think this design fits in more with Minecraft. Like, this is the look of resin without the resource pack on, and it's so much more saturated, even compared to like grass blocks and things. But with the resource pack switched on, you can see it's slightly less saturated, and honestly, I think this is a better design. I think it fits in more with the look of Minecraft, and these blocks are probably a bit more usable now that they're slightly desaturated. As well as this, Minecraft 1.21.5 added support for custom item textures in vanilla Minecraft. You no longer need to use a mod such as CIT Rezone or Optifine, which is why Vanilla Tweaks has launched a few new resource packs. First of all, unique axolotl buckets, which simply changes the look of the axolotl bucket. Obviously, we'd have this pink one as the normal default one. However, with Vanilla Tweaks, you can use unique axolotl buckets, so it will display the correct colour. For example, this golden one here will spawn a golden axolotl. This blue one here will spawn the rare blue axolotl. And honestly, I'm really surprised this just wasn't a part of vanilla Minecraft. Like, it just makes so much sense to have the different colour axolotls inside the buckets. It just looks so good like this. Now, this does remind me of another annoyance I have with Minecraft. Obviously, if we light ourselves on fire, we'll be covered in orange fire. That makes sense because that's the colour of its fire. But if we light some soul fire and stand in it, we'll be on orange fire, which doesn't really make too much sense. So I feel like that should be changed at some point. I don't know how easy it would be with a resource pack though, or even if it's possible. As well as this, Vanilla Tweaks also offers a resource pack for unique paintings. As you can see behind me, all of the different painting textures, which are accessible in creative mode, have brand new unique textures. For example, I know that this one will be a wither painting. If we go around here, it can only be placed as a wither painting. Whereas this one here will only display the sort of water element painting, which is actually only accessible in creative mode. As well as this, Vanilla Tweaks has released a data pack, which allows you to put a painting inside of a stonecutter to get any of these unique designs to honestly help building so much more in survival mode. But before I move on to the next resource pack, what does that sign say behind me? Subscribe? That's right, make sure to subscribe, as I want to see how many subscribers I can be on by the end of the year. One of the brand new blocks added in the Spring to Life drop was leaf litter, which is simply just like sort of piles of dead leaves, and honestly it's a really nice texture. I'm a massive fan of it. However, with this resource pack, texture changes. This is bushy leaf litter, and it simply changes what leaf litter looks like. So if I place one down, it sort of looks the same. I add two, and it actually gets a really cool design. It's sort of like a 3D model, so there's sort of a pile of leaves sort of in the air. We can add a third one in, and then a fourth, and it actually changes the design entirely. But you can make really cool patterns with this now, and honestly, it does look really good. It sort of helps to add more detail, I guess, to a forest as well, as if it's sort of more representing a pile of leaves, whereas the sort of one by itself, or like in vanilla Minecraft, I guess it's sort of quite flat. But with this resource pack, it sort of adds more elevation and height to it. Although, if I'm honest, I don't really like the fact that if I get a group of 3 and then add a 4th, it completely changes the model. I feel like that's a bit strange, but honestly, this isn't too bad of a resource pack, and I definitely recommend using it if you are sort of playing in a forest biome, because this does change the look of leaf litter, and honestly, it doesn't look too bad. Now, another brand new block added into this update is the bush. One of my favourite blocks added in this update, actually. I really like the design of it. However, if you're not too much of a fan of this bush texture, you can use this resource pack, as bushier bushes changes the look of the bush block to be more 3D, and honestly, this is a really cool design. It almost feels like every time I have to walk through it, it's going to slow me down a bit. It completely changes the look of a block, but honestly, it's not a bad design. I think this looks really nice. And to be fair, it does really blend in quite well with other builds. But as well as the change to the bush, it also changes the look of a berry bush to have this sort of similar 3D design. And honestly, that looks really nice. I like the look of that berry bush. That's sort of its smaller state. Then we can grab a bit of bone meal. That's what it looks like without berries. That's what it looks like with a few berries. And then that's what it looks like with loads of berries. Honestly, this is a pretty cool design, and it works especially well if you're not a massive fan of a brand new bush item. And actually, it also slightly changes the look of a bush item. I feel like that looks a little bit thicker than it did before. But if you're not too much of a fan of these new 3D bushes, you could use this next resource pack, which brings the bush more in line to the undead bush. As this is the undead bush pack, which essentially changes the look of a bush texture to be more in line with the dead bush. And honestly, this pack looks really good. You can sort of see pixels of the dead bush inside of a bush, sort of the orange or browny sort of colours. But honestly, I think that looks really nice. And it definitely sort of fits a lot into the Minecraft theme as well. You can also see it's a little bit taller than a block as well, which is a nice detail. But honestly, it works really well alongside the dead bush. And also, if we're taking a look at a more natural build, it works really well. Like, it's almost hard to notice, but I actually really like this. Although I really like the default bush texture as well. So maybe we could just get like the undead bush as an actual item in the game in the future. I think that would be pretty cool. As yeah, that's a really nice design. And it works really well with the dead bush. I'm a fan of this resource pack. Just like I'm a fan of wildflowers. Honestly, wildflowers are probably my favourite thing added to the Spring to Life drop, as they just look amazing. They help to add so much detail. If you've not watched my recent hardcore video, I definitely recommend doing so. I transformed my hardcore world with loads of these brand new wildflowers, and they just look so good. However, Wisp's wonderful wildflowers transforms the look of the wildflowers further by adding different coloured variants, and if you've watched any of my videos, you know how much I want like these coloured variants for wildflowers to be added into the game, as they would just be so good. So here we've just got the default coloured one, but then this one's here like pink and red, another pink and red, sort of pink and yellow, blue and white. Honestly, it's such cool designs, and then we get sort of bigger flowers. This is just so cool. It just simply adds variation to the wildflowers, which is so cool. Although I don't think the actual wildflower should look sort of this randomized and like with different colors. I think it would be better if we did just get different colored wildflowers, like we get some reds and some blues. But yeah, this is so cool, and it really does just help to transform the look of wildflowers. And honestly, the texture itself is just so nicely done. I really like all these sort of vibrant colors it has to it. In recent Minecraft updates, we've got updates to different textures. For example, 1.21.5 introduced the brand new changes to the spawn eggs. And in a previous Minecraft update, we also got updated textures to all of the different banner patterns, as well as redesigns for all the potions, which now have more unique colors. However, one thing that is lacking is all of the enchanted books. Like this enchanted book right here. What is it? Is this Windburst? I couldn't have told straight away. Which one is this sort of top left one? It's blast protection. I wouldn't have guessed that. What's one of these middle ones? Maybe like mending or something. No, it's power 5. Like, it's so hard to tell all of these different enchanted books apart. Which is where the resource pack Recovered comes in, as it completely redesigns the look of all of the enchanted books in the game. And yeah, these are so cool. You can also see there's some animated designs. Here are some of the animated textures I've managed to find. This one is Depth Strider. That looks really cool. You can also see there's a sort of subtle dolphin design on it. That looks really nice. I believe this is just flame. That looks really cool. Then we've also got respiration with these really cool bubble particles on it. That looks really nice. Then we've obviously got soul speed as well, which will have occasional soul particles coming off it. That looks really nice. But just in general, these enchanted books just look amazing. Like, efficiency, that's actually obvious to tell which it is. And even if we just look at some more, like that sort of central one, I know that's now infinity. The rose one, that's thorns. Creeper, blast protection, obviously. Fire protection, frostwalker, multi-shot, protection. Honestly, these are just some really cool looking book designs. And it's now obviously all possible in 1.20 1.5 without the use of Optifine or CIT Rezone, due to the custom item textures being a part of this update. On a similar note to all the enchanted books, another texture in Minecraft which doesn't have unique designs is actually armor with an armor trim. All of these have different trims. This one's got snout, this one's got silence, this one's got bolt, eye, and wild, but they all look the exact same. Which is where the resource pack Visual Armor Trims comes in, as it now redesigns the look of all of these item textures to have more unique designs representing the different armor trims that are on it. Now it's obvious to tell, this is what the silence one looks like, this is what the eye one looks like, and it actually shows you sort of a preview of what it will look like as well, which is really helpful. So I know that this one will have an eye at the center. And also this resource pack is really helpful for being able to preview what an armor trim will look like. Like on my turtle shell in here, and I want to see what Wayfinder looks like. I'll add a bit of iron, and you can see a bit easier. Obviously it shows on the armor stand as well. Then I can just add, I guess, eye chest plate. We'll do silence leggings, and then bolt boots. But yeah, these item textures, yeah, they look so much nicer than they did before, where they all had the exact same design. Yeah, honestly, this is a resource pack I'm definitely going to be using in the future. Obviously, with 1.20 1.5, we got all of these brand new updated spawn egg textures. However, these next few resource packs are for those who do not really like these new designs, but also for people who don't like the old designs. This first pack is known as Spawned Eggs, and it transforms the look of all of the spawn eggs in Minecraft to be pixel art designs of the mobs that they spawn in. And honestly, these are such cool spawn egg designs. Like that tropical fish just looks amazing. We've got the slime spawn egg, I think that looks really good. The llama spawn egg, I really like that. Hoglin, bee, pig, zombified piglin, pufferfish. These textures just look so cool. And if we take a look in the inventory, we can have a closer look at them. And honestly, some of these are just amazing. I just love the sort of pixel art style of these. This is such a unique way to do spawn eggs as well. And it really just does represent the exact mob that it will spawn in. Like that parrot spawn egg design, that looks really cool. Honestly, these are some really cool designs. I'm actually such a big fan of them. It's a shame I like the new designs as well so much. Otherwise, I'd definitely use this pack, as these just look so cool. And even like the things that are creaking, that looks really nice. However, if you don't like spawned eggs that much, you could use mob crates, which is a similar pack, but essentially it adds pixel art designs of all the different mobs into little baskets. And now there's a Zoglin for some reason. And honestly, once again, these are such cool designs. Like that llama looks really cool. The shulker one's pretty cool as well. It just shows us shulker shell. We've got a little tadpole. That looks so cool. Like a basket sort of full of water. I really like that design. We've got the design for a few other mobs. Like that ocelot looks so cute. Like a little paw sticking out. That looks so cool. Even works with sort of bigger mobs like the iron golem. I think that looks nice. Once again, we've got like a tropical fish in sort of a basket of water. That looks really cool. And the armadillo as well. That's a really nice texture. Now, as I've mentioned a few times in this video, one of the best parts about 1.20 1.5 was the ability to have custom item textures in vanilla Minecraft, which this next resource pack takes advantage of, as this next pack is known as Visuals, and this pack simply changes the look of many different Minecraft items to have unique designs depending on what the item actually is. For example, it has something as simple as different height fireworks for the different flight durations. Like this is flight duration 1, it's quite small. Flight duration 2 is a little bit longer, and then flight duration 3 is much longer, and honestly that's a really cool design straight away. We've also got a redesigned bundle, which looks like sort of the old design the bundle had, but I assume as we sort of add items in, yeah, it changes the design. But actually looks more sort of like inflated than it would before. Or if we add half a stack, that's sort of a traditional bundle look, and then we can sort of add in more until it's full. And yeah, it does definitely get like a more full up design now. That looks cool. And then there are some other texture changes. such as all the goat horns now having unique designs, and these look really cool. Like this one's got multiple holes, this one's sort of much thinner. Yeah, these designs, I'm actually a big fan of the goat horn designs. Just a way to sort of add more unique designs in Minecraft, which I think things like the goat horn desperately need. Is all of them looking the exact same is slightly boring. It's sort of like the enchanted books we looked at earlier. It's just slightly boring if they all look the same. Other things have changed. For example, all of the suspicious stew textures have changed. For example, the saturation one looks a bit like it has like sort of dandelions and blue orchids inside, as that is how you craft it. The regeneration one has oxide daisies in it, because that's how you craft that one. The wither one has wither roses in. That's just some really cool unique designs. Oh, even the ominous bottles have changed. Like, they sort of get red eyes as they level up. That's really nice. I really like that sort of very subtle detail. And also, this pack only has like just over 1,000 downloads, which I'm really surprised about because it adds so many really cool features. As well as this resource pack also adds different unique textures for tropical fish once you pick them up in buckets, which is a really cool feature. So if we just pick up a few of these random ones, we get this guy here, this guy over here, we'll spawn one more in. You see the unique designs that we have. That looks really cool straight away. And honestly, this is a feature that would be cool in vanilla Minecraft. Just to add slightly more textures, despite there being like thousands of different fish variants. These just look so cool though. I love the sort of unique designs of these buckets. And similar to vanilla tweaks, this resource pack also introduces it for axolotl buckets, as well as all the unique painting designs. As well as this resource pack also has a long list of ideas that's already planned for future updates, which I'm definitely looking forward to it. And I may even do an update video in the future, as some of these parts of this pack are really cool. So I definitely recommend checking out the resource pack visuals, as it's seriously underrated. This final resource pack transforms the look of vanilla Minecraft, as this is a resource pack known as Windscape. And honestly, this is a really good looking pack. It sort of makes Minecraft seem more cartoony. Like, this grass looks more saturated. The cactus flower even looks really cool. So this obviously does update all of the new blocks and items added in this update. It also seems like it's sort of got the spawned egg mob textures for spawn eggs, as we looked at earlier. These are really cool. It changes the mobs as well. Like, even like the new cow. That looks so cool. That's honestly such a cool texture. I'm a massive fan of that. The whole like inventory changes as well. I like this sort of shade of inventory. We've even got things like 3D lanterns. That looks really nice. We've also got textures like animated torches. I think that's a really cool design. And honestly, if you really like sort of a more cartoony look of Minecraft, I definitely recommend using this resource pack, as it just does look really cool. I have this wolf also. That looks really cool. I like that design. The resin looks really nice as well, actually. It sort of reminds me a bit of the bare bones pack, which sort of simplifies Minecraft textures, which I feel like this resource pack does a good job at. As well, just adding extra detail. Like, I like these variated flowers we've got. That's really cool. I like that as a detail. Obviously, this pack also updates the newer items added to the wildflower. That looks really good. And I also really like this sort of golden design here for the wheat. That looks really nice. We've got a villager here. What does the villager look like? Oh yeah, you look pretty funny actually. Your eyes seem much further apart. That's a really cool texture. But as I just walk around my world, you begin to see how cool some of these textures are. Like, just look how cool this brown mushroom looks. Like, I really like the design with sort of 3D mushrooms on top. That's a really nice detail. Sort of darker brown spots. That's honestly such a nice texture. And although it is sort of completely different from vanilla Minecraft, it'd be a really fun experience just to play with this pack for a bit, as it really does just look amazing. Like, even the chickens, they've got really funny designs now. The egg as well, that looks really round for an egg. But that's a really cool texture. I'm also aware I've probably said really cool or cool so many times in this video. I do apologise, I should probably update my vocabulary at some point, but honestly, all of these packs have been really cool today. So I definitely recommend checking all of them out. They will be in the description. And it even simplifies the menus, like that Minecraft logo, that just looks really cool. The background itself looks good, and all the options and buttons and text, that looks really nice as well. But there we go, these are a bunch of resource packs that I definitely recommend using in Minecraft 1.21.5. Make sure to subscribe and like the video, and let me know in the comments which of these resource packs you'll be using. And also, I'm just looking around my hardcore world now with Windscape, and it's so cool. Like the lower shield, or sort of like the shield to the side, that's really cool. Even things like a netherite sword, that's a nice texture. We've got sort of skull hardcore hearts. Wow, this sort of transforms the look of my hardcore world, but in a really nice way. Resource packs are a great way to transform the look of Minecraft. So here are over 15 of the best resource packs you can use for the upcoming Copper Age game drop. And we're starting with a pack called Mellowed. Now this pack aims to maintain the sort of default textures of Minecraft, whilst changing them a bit to make them look softer. As we can see with the granite, it looks slightly different, but Honestly, that's a really nice granite texture straight away. The grass blocks look different, as you can see, even like the dirt underneath is a lot darker than it is in default Minecraft. Additionally, with something like the oak log, you can see that the texture is slightly different. I believe it's just a bit more dark, but honestly, it does sort of change the look of Minecraft in a really nice way. And as you can sort of see from a distance, builds don't look too different, which I think is a really nice part of resource packs, where it doesn't completely transform the look of Minecraft, but it does add some subtle changes. Just taking a look through the creative menu, you can see a load of differences. For example, stone blocks, they look a lot smoother, and honestly, that's once again a really nice texture. It's that oak planks. Oak planks look really nice as well. They're much sort of lighter than before, but I really like that design actually. Additionally, for blocks like the ores, they've changed a bit. And even the deep state ones have. I wonder what deep state actually looks like in this pack. Okay, yeah, that's it's definitely a much softer design to it. I really like the look of this. What's this? This is just mud. That looks pretty much the same. And just looking through the textures, I don't even know. I believe this resource pack isn't 100% done, but as you can see, a lot of the textures have been changed. For example, the melons and the pumpkins all have slightly different textures. It looks like the faces haven't been done, but other than that, yeah, that looks really nice. I love the sort of more desaturated versions of these textures. And placing down a couple more types of logs, you can definitely see the softer textures. I really like this birch log design actually. Same with this mangrove one. I think the mangrove just looks really nice. Almost nicer than it does in vanilla, to be honest. One thing I have noticed is the fact that coarse dirt, that texture's completely changed. That's much darker, which I don't know if I like too much. I really like the look of coarse dirt in vanilla Minecraft. Dirt's a lot darker as well, but I think that matches really well. Yeah, that works really well with the grass block. So if you want to try out a new texture pack, but you don't really want to completely transform the look of Minecraft, I definitely recommend the pack Mellowed. And obviously this pack will be working for the upcoming 1.21.9 update, the Copper Age. However, we're going to be taking a look at some packs later on in today's video that are designed for that version. Next, we'll be taking a look at a pack I've already covered before on this channel. However, it's so good that it's worth mentioning once again. Now, one of the main issues I have in vanilla Minecraft is that all enchanted books look the exact same. It's really hard to tell. Like, I don't know what this book is. Okay, it's Protection 4, Breach. It's just really hard to tell which each of these enchantment books actually is. Which is where the Even Better Enchants pack comes in, as it completely redesigns the look of enchanted books within Minecraft. So now I can tell this is going to be Feather Falling, or this will be Frostwalker, this is Blast Protection, Swift Sneak, Thorns, Windburst. These books just have really cool designs. I love the Mending one, that's one of my favourites. And one of the best parts about this pack is the fact that in new Minecraft updates, it doesn't require the use of mods such as Optifine or CIT Resewn, as you can just use it in vanilla Minecraft, which is just really nice, and I'm glad that feature's actually been introduced into the game. Before I move on to the next resource pack, make sure to subscribe, as I want to see how many subscribers I can be on by the end of the year. We're now taking a look at a resource pack called Bees Vanilla Collections, which simply updates the look of Minecraft. As you can see straight away, things like granite look a lot different. This looks a bit more like the Mellow design, which once again is a really nice texture. But as you can see, if we look at this giant factory wall, dirt blocks look completely different. Honestly, that's a really random texture for them, but I think it works. And then we've also got things, it looks like we've got connected textures here with the brick. As you can see, sort of, the brick spills over onto the next block. That's a cool detail. It does work in the ground. It doesn't look like it. Oh, it does there though. That's really cool. But this resource pack simply aims to update the look of Minecraft. As you can see, the crafting table. That honestly is a nicer design for the crafting table. But like the crafting table though is sort of quite an outdated design. Then we've also got other designs, like the granite obviously, as I've mentioned. I think the planks may slightly change. That's a cool texture for terracotta. Yeah, that's much more of like a rockier design for it. Almost looks like sort of scales or something. I think that's a really cool design though. Loads of the dye textures have been changed as well, which is an upcoming feature in the next Minecraft game drop. But like that yellow dye looks better than default. Same with the orange one, the lime one, the light grey, the cyan one. It also looks like tools and armor have changed, as now the netherite sword has just a little bit of gold on the hilt of it, which is once again a really cool design. It sort of makes sense as well. Netherite is made out of gold. That's a really nice texture though, the hay bale. For the longest time, I've not liked the hay bale texture as much, because I think it's too yellow and saturated in vanilla Minecraft, which is why I think this hay bale texture just looks amazing. It looks like with this pack, we've also got some changes to food. For example, the cookie, that looks a lot different, and once again, that's a nice design. Same with the rotten flesh. It's a lot smoother, but it really works. It also looks like the bush has been redesigned, which once again looks like a really nice texture. Now, if you're a fan of these hay bales but don't like the other textures in this pack, this next resource pack is going to be ideal for you. This is Fancy Crops, which is actually a pack made by the same creator, so it goes perfect with the Vanilla Collections resource pack. As you can see, we can look at this wheat, and it's actually got more elevation to it, as well as variation, and that just looks really nice. Heading over to this area of my test world, where I look at all the different textures, we'll have a look at all the crops, and you can see how they've been redesigned. Obviously, we've already taken a look at wheat, but it's got like 3 different variations to it. It looks more golden, almost more 3D in a way. That seed texture is so much nicer as well. Then carrots have also changed. They're much sort of like fluffier looking. The potatoes have also changed. They've got flowers on top of them now. That looks really nice, as well as different elevations and height as well. I believe the beetroots have slightly changed as well. And it also looks like Netherwater's slightly changed as well. But obviously, Fancy Crops just aims to redesign the look of crops within Minecraft. And honestly, I think it works really well, as lots of the crop textures in Minecraft don't look amazing. This next resource pack works super well with vanilla collections and Fancy Crops, as it is the Fine Armory resource pack. This pack works alongside vanilla collections, or you can use it by itself just to redesign the look of armor with Minecraft, and you can immediately notice the difference. The diamond helmet looks completely different on me, as does the chest plate, the boots, chain leggings look slightly different, I believe, as well. Now I'm curious, what does full netherite armor look like? Yeah, that looks really cool. It looks more like a battle helmet or something now. That's a really nice design. Leather armor has also gone through a change. You can sort of notice the darker patches on it now. And iron armor has definitely gone through a transformation as well. That looks really nice. As does gold armor, I now have a crown on top of me, which looks good. And we've already taken a look at the diamond helmet, but the full set of diamond armor, once again, looks really nice. And it's very likely that this pack will continue to update in the future, meaning we'll have redesigned copper armor as well for the upcoming game drop. But just remember, we'll be taking a look at some resource packs exclusively for that drop later on in today's video. I'm now going to be taking a look at 3 other resource packs which work really well together. We've got O's Colourful Cobblestone, O's Colourful Leaves, and O's Colourful Grass. O's Colourful Cobblestone obviously redesigns cobblestone, but adds these different colours to it, which look really nice. We've got this sort of browner stone in it. We've got these blues and greens. This looks really cool. And it's good that we're right next to a village, as we can just take a look at all of the different textures that this cobblestone adds to it. That looks really cool. It really works as well. Now, O's Colourful Leaves does the same thing, but obviously for leaves. As you can see, these are oak leaves, but they have different coloured leaves inside of them, sort of more dark patches, but they've also got lighter patches as well. And it's a good job I've got loads of trees planted around this world. As you can see, these are the azalea ones. And honestly, flowering azalea, that looks really nice. I wish we did have more colours in vanilla Minecraft. We've got some yellows and oranges now on them. The cherry leaves look different as well. They've got sort of white petals in them. The mangrove leaves, yeah, the mangrove leaves have different shades to them as well, as does dark oak, acacia, jungle. Those jungle leaves are really cool. As well as spruce leaves, oak leaves obviously, and birch leaves as well. Now, O's Colourful Grass obviously redesigns the look of grass within Minecraft, and I'm using the mixed pack, which adds loads of different textures. As you can see, it adds the sort of more vanilla style of grass, but it also adds this sort of more 3D style, which looked a bit like the Fancy Crops we covered earlier. As you can see, it also works for this tall grass. We've got different types of it once again. This more sort of Minecraft style, and that comes in different heights and different colours as well as this more 3D style. However, if you don't like that, you can obviously use O's Colourful Grass's Mojang style, which just adds it for the vanilla textures whilst adding some shading to it, obviously. And this also works with ferns as well, which is a really nice detail. A few years ago, Minecraft went over a complete texture overhaul, where now I'm using the default Programmer Art texture pack, which is available on Java Edition and Bedrock Edition, I do believe. As you can see, these are what the old textures look like. This is the old wheat, which, yeah, that doesn't look great anymore. Like, these are the old logs, the old leaves. We've got, like, old granite, diorite, and andesite blocks, as well as the old plank textures. However, during the development of 1.14, when these textures were actually added into the game, they went through a few designs. So this is the old Japa Planks resource pack, which reverts the planks to what they looked like in 18W43A when the texture update was first introduced. And honestly, I'm a really big fan of these plank textures. It looks just a lot more wooden. I feel like the vanilla ones now look a bit sort of smoother almost, whereas these ones are sort of a much more wooden design, as you can see with the cherry ones. And it also obviously updates the newer designs. We've got the mangrove ones updated as well, and I believe it also works, yep, with the new pale ones as well. That just looks a lot more wooden in my opinion. Now, there is also another pack by the same creator called Old Japa Sand, which reverts sand to what it looked like in 18W43A, which was honestly probably the most game-changing snapshot for Minecraft. I might make a whole video on it at some point in the future. But this pack obviously changes the look of sand and sandstone, which honestly, once again, is a really nice texture. It also updates the suspicious sand texture and the red sandstone and sand textures. And honestly, it's a much sort of darker look to the sand. In vanilla Minecraft now, it's much more sort of whiter. But honestly, I really like that design for sand. The sandstone definitely looks a bit strange, but I think it honestly works in Minecraft. as does this smooth sandstone block. That looks like a log almost, but once again, it's a really nice texture. I feel like the red sand doesn't look as good. I feel like with this, it looks a bit too coarse almost, especially compared to the sand texture. But if you prefer these textures, you can use these resource packs. Now obviously the texture update completely transformed the look of Minecraft. However, this resource pack slightly changes it, as this is old shapes but Japper. This pack simply reverts lots of the textures in Minecraft, such as the apple and the golden apple. As you can see, it's the sort of more round texture that existed in Minecraft before the texture update. However, it is in Japper's style, where it's the new golden apple texture, just in a different shape. This is the same for other blocks and items as well, such as the chest plates. As you can see, that's definitely in the old Minecraft style, but with the Japper redesign. Same with the egg, as well as other blocks like the buckets. These look completely different, but honestly, they look really nice as well. This resource pack also changes the look of the emerald as well, to be a much sort of sharper design, which once again looks really nice. But now let's take a look at all the packs for Minecraft Copper Age game drop. But first, just make sure you're subscribed. Obviously, Minecraft's next update, the Copper Age, is focusing on copper, which is why this next resource pack is going to be very useful for you. This is the Waxed Indicators pack, which just shows you which copper variants are waxed. For example, if we head into the created menu, you can see these copper bars are the waxed ones, these chains are the waxed ones, and all of these blocks are the waxed ones, as they just got the honeycomb around it. Obviously, we get these blocks, the item doesn't change, as well as when we place it down, it doesn't change in vanilla Minecraft, as it just is an icon to show you which ones are waxed and which ones are not, which is definitely going to be super useful for organizing everything. I really like the use of the honeycomb texture as well, and obviously it does the same for the copper statues, as well as all the chests and lanterns as well. Another big part of this update is the brand new copper tools and armor. However, one criticism that it has received is the fact that they're only on one oxidization level. They don't oxidize over time. However, the oxidizing copper tools resource pack changes this. As you can see, just in creative, all of these remain the same. However, if we do head into survival and start breaking blocks, for example, we'll do the shovel, over time, as the durability decreases, the texture should change just to be a more oxidized stage, although this will take a while, so I'll just enchant it with efficiency 5. It's a quick test as well. Does efficiency 5 on a copper tool instant mine? Oh my god, it actually does. As you can see, we're breaking loads of blocks, and now it's decreased to its sort of exposed texture, which once again looks really good. Break it a bit more, we should get it to its weathered stage. There you go. And then we can get it to its oxidized stage as we break a few more blocks. There we go. It now looks more like a diamond shovel, but it's the oxidized stage, and I just think it's a really nice detail. Now, the only negative about this pack is the fact that it only does tools, it doesn't do the armor, as I don't know if there is a way to retexture armor as it breaks over time. However, if you want your copper tools and armor to look different, this next pack is going to be perfect. This is the coppered equipment resource pack, and if I open my inventory, as you can see, these textures slightly change as well. For example, the copper sword has like a blue hilt design, the pickaxe is blue on it, as well as the armor, which actually is a complete texture overhaul, which once again looks really nice. And definitely just adds more variation as well, as I don't think every type of armor should look the exact same within Minecraft. Additionally, this resource pack actually carries over the oxidization level thing. So now, this copper shovel, as it's more broken, will look completely oxidized. Another feature of a Copper Age update is the fact that all the dye textures are getting redesigned, and honestly, I'm in love with these designs. They just look so nice, and they definitely add more variation into the game. However, the Classic Dyes Tweaks resource pack changed it, so it removes sort of a pad at the bottom of these designs, whilst maintaining the other textures. As you can see, the lime design remains the same. I really like the lime, that's probably my favorite. But then again, all of these look really cool. The brown one looks good. I like how some of them have stayed the same as they did currently in Minecraft, like the red one or the white or the green, but others have changed, obviously, like the lime and the pink. Another feature of the Copper Age is the brand new copper torches, and the resource pack, Torches Plus, changes all the designs of the torch to be more in line with a redstone torch. As you can see with a new copper torch, as well as the default torch, as well as the soul torch, there's now sort of this cube around the actual flame texture, which looks really nice, and just helps to add more variation to the torches within Minecraft. Yeah, I really like these designs. Whenever I play Minecraft, I use resource packs, and today I'm going through every single resource pack that I use. Now, the majority of the textures I use are from a resource pack picker known as Vanilla Tweaks. So first of all, I use something called Circular Logs, which changes the top texture of the log. As you can see, it makes a more circular design. This obviously works on logs, it works on the stems as well, and also the strip variants. And honestly, I've been playing with this for years, so I don't even know how it looks anymore without the circular design, but I think the circular design makes a lot more sense and looks a whole lot nicer. I also use a resource pack called Fancier Fences, which changes all of the fences and fence gate designs to have this more like stripped log design rather than a plank design, which once again I just think looks a lot nicer and works a lot better for things like custom trees, which you may have seen me design before. As instead of having this sort of planky texture, it is now just a stripped log texture, which I think is such an improvement. I also use this pack called Moss Layer Overhang, which simply updates moss carpets to have this really cool feature. Placed on the ground, normally they look the same. However, if I was to place a block and then place them on top, you can see that there's a little overhang that hangs over the top, which I think is a really nice feature. It makes it more feel overgrown as well, which I really like. And another really cool thing is it can hide the texture. As a lot of the time when I'm building in Minecraft, I build crop fields. And obviously, one important thing about crop fields is the fact that it needs farmland, which is smaller than a block. So if I was to place in a frog light, which is what I normally use to light up my builds, normally that texture would be visible even if there's a carpet on it. But using the moss overhang pack, you can see that it actually gets rid of a little bit of layer while still letting light through, which is really useful. I also use bushy leaves, and these are actually a texture, as well as many other textures, which we'll get into later, from a resource pack designed by the YouTuber Whip. Sadly, you do have to become a channel member of his to actually get access to this pack, but if you're a fan of his already, I definitely recommend it, as these textures are awesome and they're unique between lots of the different blocks. So if I pick block a few of these, you can see that we have the oak ones. Another really fun part of it I like as well is the fact that not every block is bushy. Some are, some aren't, which is really cool. Also works the same for spruce, birch, jungle, acacia, dark oak, which are slightly darker than the oak leaf, which I really like. It's a nice little detail, as normally these textures are identical, which isn't a brilliant thing. Mangrove, once again, looks great. Same with the cherry, same with the pale, and same with the azaleas. Now, I also use a lot of variated mushrooms and funguses. Now, a few of these textures are once again from Whip's resource pack. However, I've also got a load from the Stay True resource pack. I believe Better Vanilla Building as well. These were sort of created a few years ago though. So as you can see, we've got loads of different variants here, which all look really nice. Some like taller brown mushrooms, some small brown mushrooms, same with the reds, and same with all the warped and crimson funguses, which I really like, just to help add more variation into Minecraft. Now, before I take a look at every other feature as part of resource packs that I use, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Also, I will be making a video in a few weeks covering all of the mods I use, so if that sounds interesting, definitely subscribe. As you can see, I also have variated dead bushes. Now, this is actually a texture designed by me. This is simply the crimson root texture, which Minecraft has by default, but I've retextured it to look like a dead bush, and I've had this in my pack for years, and honestly, it's just a nice extra variant. And that reminds me as well, if you want to see me create like a resource pack with some of my own designs, lots of these aren't my own designs, such as the mushrooms, lots of these are designed by Whip and other resource pack creators, so I won't be able to include those in a pack. But if you want to see things like my variated dead bushes, or variated ferns, or whatever else I showcase in today's video, let me know. Speaking of which, we've also got variated ferns. I've got quite a few designs. Obviously, we've got the default, we've got the top of a large fern texture, we've got this sort of texture update beta sprite of a fern, which I like. We've also, I believe, got the old fern texture, yeah, which is another texture I really like. We've also got just some different color variations of a fern as well, which I think look really nice. We've also got variated bushes and firefly bushes, but this is a bit different as they don't change texture. Instead, they change rotation on a block. Normally, they're sort of set to how they are placed on a block, so in like a grid-like pattern. However, with this resource pack from Vanilla Tweaks, they are sort of shifted around on the ground just to make them look less uniform, which I think is really cool. This also works with the firefly bush, and also randomly changes the animation of the fireflies on the bush. As you can see, these two are not the same, which in vanilla for some reason they are, so it's just a nice little variation trick. And once again, both of the bush and firefly bushes are from Vanilla Tweaks. We've also got grass changes. It's very hard to notice, but we've actually got two variants of grass, just the vanilla default one, and we've got short grass from Vanilla Tweaks, just to help add some more unique texture and make it so not every bit of grass is the exact same height. I also use a pack from Vanilla Tweaks called Brighter Nether, which just brightens up all of the nether textures such as Vanilliums, Netherrack, Nether Brick, Red Nether Brick, the ores, as well as Soul Sand and Soul Soil, just because by default I actually find like Netherrack is a very dark block. It looks a lot more like stripped mangrove, which it's fine, it would be useful for building, but it is very dark by default, so I prefer this brighter design. It also just makes traveling around the nether a lot easier. I also love these new soul sand and soul soil designs. I personally think they look a lot better with blocks like coarse dirt, because the color is much more the same, as by default this is a lot darker. And despite me never really doing much redstone, I also have a few redstone tweak packs. For example, sticky piston sides, which makes the side of a sticky piston have this sort of green texture on it, as by default it's actually the exact same as a piston, which I don't really know why, but now with sticky piston sides it's not. I've also got directional droppers and dispensers, which simply puts an arrow to whichever way it's facing. So if I look at the back of this, you can see that it's going this way. If I put it this way, you can see that it's pointing this way. Same with it's pointing up, or if it's pointing down. I've also got a pack called Visible Observers, which just adds a few extra texture things onto the observer, such as these arrows, and the arrows on top as well. I've also got Consistent Decorated Pots, which by itself improves the pot texture by adding these sort of trims around it, but it works best if I add in a sherd, which I haven't done in a while to be honest, but if we place this down, you can see that wherever the sherd is, the pattern now matches up, as by default, this would be sort of a blank brick texture, whilst this bit would have the sherd and the little rim on the outside, which makes no sense. So now we have consistent pots. And I've also got directional hoppers, which is the same as the directional dispensers and things. Literally just points an arrow to the way the hopper's facing, which is very useful for building with redstone, which I don't really do, but it's still useful. Now let's take a look at some of the flowers. Some are designed by me, some are not, so we'll go through those. First of all, the flowering azalea bush actually has a redesign, which is pretty hard to notice, but as you can see, some, by default, will have the 3 little flowers on them, and then some will have 4, and this is actually a texture designed by me. I've completely forgot I even used this pack, to be honest, but I think it's a cool design. We've also got pretty much every flower has a variated design. For example, Lily of the Valley has loads of different designs. Most of these are by Thwip. I believe I may have created one of these years ago. I think this might be my design, although it's been a while, so it's quite hard to tell. But I designed one of these years ago, I think. Same with the cornflowers. Lots of these are actually my design, though. So we've got this one, which is actually very similar to the regular cornflower design. It's just shrunk down a couple of blocks. I believe this one's designed by me. This one also is designed by me. And this is designed by me. This is one of my favorite flower textures I've ever created as well, just because it was my first time creating a unique flower design. So if you'd like to see like a variated cornflower pack, I could definitely make a resource pack for that. I think maybe I could do it with some ferns and some dead bushes and things like that. So if you want to see me do like a whole foliage resource pack in the future, let me know in the comments and I'll create that for Modrinth. We've also got variated oxide daisies. Lots of these are Thwip designs. I think this one's a stay true one. This is my own one. Got variated wither roses, which I think most of these are Thwip's designs, except from this one here and this one here. Both of these are my own design. You can probably tell they don't look anywhere near as good. We've also got variated alliums, lots of Thwip designs again. Same with the dandelions. Same with the poppies and all the tulips. I think the tulips are all designed by Thwip. I think maybe I designed a poppy. Yeah, I think I designed this poppy. And then, once again, lots by Thwip. You can sort of see he's had a big influence on the resource packs that I used. But this is, I believe, a better vanilla building version of a dandelion. And that reminds me, obviously the golden dandelion is the newest flower to be added to Minecraft. But it currently has no variations in my pack. And I do plan on uploading that. So if you want to see me, once again, release a resource pack with custom golden dandelions, let me know. This is also the same for flowers such as eye blossoms and torch flowers, none of which, at the time of recording this video, have unique textures in my pack. I've also got variated sunflowers, some of these once again my design, some of these Thwip designs, which once again I think look really nice and just help to add more variation into Minecraft, which for sunflowers I think is definitely needed. I've also got slight variation for the nether foliage, such as these warped roots, which once again look quite cool. Same with these crimson roots, both of these are designed by Thwip. And even the nether sprout, you know, this sort of weird block, because surely it should be called a warped sprout because it's the same colour as warped roots. And then we could also get a crimson sprout just for more detail. But as you can see, this actually has a unique texture, which once again is actually designed by me. This is based off of Minecraft short grass texture, but then obviously recolored to be this blue colour. So now we've got variated nether sprouts, which reminds me I should build with these more because they do look really nice. Another Thwip texture is his wheat design, which I really like. It just adds it so it's 2 blocks tall, which I think is a really nice detail. I love the sort of changes for it growing up as well. I think that's a really good design. I've also got things like distinctive stems for pumpkins and melons, so you can now see which is which, as by default they're actually the same, which is really stupid. And I've also got 3D rails, which, well, makes all the rails in Minecraft 3D, and also 3D ladders, which does the same for ladders, and also a 3D stonecutter, which does the same for a stonecutter. Now let's take a look at all of the item textures I use. For example, I have unique paintings, which is a creative only pack really, but it showcases all the icon sprites for the paintings. For example, if I take this painting out, I know that it will always be a poppy painting. And I really like all these little sprite designs. These are once again from Vanilla Tweaks. Moving on, we've also got eating animations, which is a resource by itself. I'll try and remember to leave it in the description. But it literally adds an animation for eating different things in Minecraft. As you can see, the soup's getting drank out of a suspicious stew. The pufferfish is slowly breaking away. And as you can see, he sort of gets tears in his eyes when he's almost fully eaten, which is pretty funny. Also, the biscuit has an animation. For some reason, the golden carrot doesn't actually, which I don't know why it's bugged. But the steak also does. Same with bread, glowberries, the apple, which I really like, as well as potatoes. I've also got visible axolotl buckets resource pack, which simply indicates which type of axolotl you have in a bucket. So this one in my hand, if I place it down, it will always be a blue axolotl. This one will always be a brown axolotl. Just an extra nice detail. And I've also got animated campfires, although I may remove this from my resource pack as I'm not 100% sure how much I like this design. I think it just makes the inventory a bit too messy with there being suddenly one animated texture, but it makes a lot of sense. This is once again from Vanilla Tweaks. I've got a few other really fun ones, such as diminishing tools, which has a visual indicator for when your tool's about to break. You can see it here with a sword. It obviously works with pickaxes, axe, shovel, for shear, hose, and things like that. And also the newly added spear, which I think is really cool. So now you can get a more degraded look. I've also got Splash XP bottles, which is a really good resource pack, as it makes sense. When you throw an XP bottle, well, you throw it, so it has to be like a splash potion. And with this resource pack, it is. Kind of surprised it's not by default for some reason. We've also got smaller totems, which simply just shrinks the totem size down a little bit. Not too much, but it shrinks it down a little bit in the hand. I've also got lower shield, which simply brings a shield down, so you can have it in your hand at all times, and you're not really bothered by it. I've been using this for years, and I always carry a shield with me in my hardcore world, so it's a really useful resource pack. I also have consistent helmets. As in Minecraft, lots of the helmet designs have this sort of spike down the middle, and the icons never really indicate that. So now with the consistent helmets design from Vanilla Tweaks, you can see the nose pieces. And I've also got better beds, which is parity for Bedrock Edition, and it literally just has all the bed icons rather than their 3D design of the inventory, which I think looks a lot nicer. This is a fun one, as I've got like visual sapling growth, which essentially shows you when a sapling's about to grow up. So if I place this sapling down by default, it will look like this. Bone meal it will grow into this taller one. It doesn't change your hitbox or anything, as it is a texture, but then that shows that the sapling is about to grow. As you can see, it's near growing. Bone meal it one more time, it grows into a tree. This works with all of the tree textures and just helps add more detail in for building, such as with these dark oak ones, or these mangrove ones look really cool. I haven't even looked at like the pale ones before, but they look so cool. Same with the cherry, just like mini tree designs, which if you put a bit of string on top could really help with building. Same with age 25 kelp, which has a visual indicator to show that kelp can no longer grow up. This can actually be obtained by just sharing a bit of kelp, or it can just be obtained by it growing naturally. But as you can see, these little pink flowers on it means that it will no longer grow. I've actually also got a few wolf texture packs. For example, a newly added Vanilla Tweak one changes armadillo armor for wolves, so it no longer has the same color as an armadillo, it just has the full dyed color, which I think looks a whole lot nicer. And you can probably see that I actually have a few different resource packs for wolves, as this is just a pale wolf, just redesigned. This is off of my dog in real life, Ted. This is off of my old dog in real life, Monty. And it's just simple retextures. For example, a black Labrador, a German Shepherd. I've actually got a whole lot more, but they're sort of name tag tricks, and they're all from different resource packs. I think this one's from Planet Minecraft years ago. Now, pretty much the only other mob retexture I use for my resource pack is Better Happy Ghasts, which just changes the look of Happy Ghasts to sort of their older design. This actually works with the actual Ghast mob as well. So it has that less sort of pixelated face design, which I think is a lot better. And it just makes a Happy Ghast look a whole lot happier as well. Now, I will mention that sometimes I do use the Fresh Animations resource pack, which animates all mobs in Minecraft, such as wolves having a waggy tail, villagers having much more life to them, and things like that. However, it's not fully updated to 26.1 yet, so it hasn't updated any of the baby mobs or anything. So that's why I'm not currently using it. Now, I've also got a fun resource pack, which is one of the ones I would struggle to play without, which is ashless campfires, which simply, when extinguishing a fire, removes this little pile of ash from underneath, so it looks a whole lot better for building, which definitely is an improvement. I've also got lower fire, which works with both types of fires. You can see that block is a lot smaller, but if I stand in it, it takes up nowhere near as much screen as it would by default, which I think is definitely an improvement. As if you're like mining for netherite and things and you have fire resistance, the fire's not taking up your whole screen. Also really useful for PvP. I've also got this soul campfire redesigned by Fwip, which simply makes it this sort of spruce design, but for some reason the ashless campfire doesn't work with it. I do need to change that in my pack, as by default I believe it should have this sort of spruce log design instead. Now for some of the block retextures I use, I have variated carved pumpkins and jack-o'-lanterns from Vanilla Tweaks, which is a really fun pack. I love as well the fact that this carved pumpkin will have this design, the jack-o'-lantern has the exact same design, which is really fun. No matter which design you use, the face will be the same on the same block, which I think is really cool. Just helps add more life into the game, to be honest. We've also got different hay bales. This is by Fwip, and I still use it because I don't really like the default look of the hay bale. I think it's really yellow, especially when compared to blocks like wheat, so I much prefer this design, and it's helped a lot in my builds as well. I also use alternate bedrock, which changes the bedrock texture to be more like stone, which I think looks a whole lot nicer, as by default the bedrock texture in Minecraft is pretty ugly. I've also got desaturated resin, which simply desaturates for resin designs. Now, I don't really build with these blocks, and I haven't built with them since using the desaturated design, but immediately I think these look a whole lot nicer. But the carved pumpkin and jack-o'-lantern designs aren't the only variated textures I used as part of my resource pack, as Vanilla Tweak offers a whole lot more. For example, variated dirt, which as you can see, has little variations into each block. For example, this one's here, it's got a big pebble. I've also got variated coarse dirt, which simply rotates the coarse dirt block around, which makes it a whole lot better. Although, if you do download variated dirt and variated coarse dirt together, you will have these big rocks in your coarse dirt, which you may not like, so I recommend going into the resource pack and deleting the variated coarse dirt and just having it as this grid pattern. Also got variated grass, which is quite hard to tell, but there is a little bit of variation to it. Also got variated cobblestone, which I think looks really nice. Just helps to break up the same sort of plain texture. Variated moss works with pale moss as well. Simply like rotates the designs around. Variated brick's quite fun, as it just adds slight different colorations to the brick blocks. Variated red mushrooms is really fun. This recently got a new update, and as you can see, it's got different types of spots on it, which I think is really fun. Also, there is slight variation to crimson and warp nylium, although once again, hard to tell. Same with endstone, gravel. Mycelium recently got a new update, where the side textures got loads of different variations to it, which I think is really cool. I also use variated planks, which works for every plank texture in Minecraft. Variated stone, this is a more updated one, and I'm still getting used to the new design of it, but honestly I don't hate it. It just helps to break up the sort of same smooth, sort of flat texture of stone by just adding in some subtle recolors. Variated terracotta is another one which was recently redesigned, and I really like this design. It makes me really want to build with some more terracotta. I also use variated granite, diorite and andesite, although it's a bit hard to tell, as well as one of the best ones, variated bookshelves, which simply adds like different colours to all the bookshelves in Minecraft. Now, I also use a few UI packs. For example, opening the shulker box, you can see that I use dark UI, and this has probably been shown throughout my video. I have dark UI on because I think it looks a whole lot nicer, works with all of the different UIs in Minecraft. I also have a pack called Wither Hearts, which more easily shows how many hearts you have when you have a wither effect, which I think is really fun. And if I turn it to midnight, you can see that I have 3D sun and moon, which looks a whole lot nicer. Now, Vanilla Tweaks offers a version of this. However, I use a separate 3D sun and moon resource pack from Modrenf, as it adds just a more updated, more redesigned moon design, which I think is really cool. So I'll leave that one in the description as well. Obviously, the sun's updated as well. You may have seen as well that I have different tech design, which is simply capitalized font from Vanilla Tweak. So if I place down a sign, we can get a closer look. For example, if I write something like subscribe, you can see, but all the font is capitalized, no matter if you're actually using cap locks or not, but you can see there is a slight size change. Resource packs are one of the best ways to enhance the look of Minecraft, and here are some of my favorite ones. Starting with a pack called Fancy Crops, which makes crops look a whole lot nicer. Now, the first change actually happens to the hay bale block. As you can see, it has a slightly different texture, and honestly, I think this is a much nicer design. I feel like the vanilla one is very vibrant and looks completely different to wheat, whereas this Fancy Crops design looks a lot more like its own wheat texture, which we'll cover in a minute. But as you can see, it also has some 3D elements to it. It's quite hard to see, but you will notice there are some extra layers to it, similar to what a player skin would look like with sort of its hat layer. The hay bale now has this, which is really cool. It just makes it look really fluffy and just extra nice for building. As you can see, it's not just a flat block anymore, which is pretty cool. But that's not the only block that changes texture, as sugarcane also has a redesign, which also looks pretty cool. As you can see, it's also now taller than one block. So normally, the sugarcane will go to this height where this sort of black outline box is, but as you can see with Fancy Crops, it slightly extends over just to make it a bit taller, which I think is a really cool detail. And obviously, it's got a slightly different color to it as well, which I think is pretty cool. As you can see, we've got the free tool one as well, which all looks very nice. And obviously, this pack is called Fancy Crops, so it changes all of the crops, including the seed designs, as obviously wheat seeds have changed, but as have pumpkin, melons, and also beetroot seeds. Now, obviously, I can do some farming, so if I put some water down and obviously hydrate this farmland and everything, you can see that the crops will look slightly different. I can also grab out some carrots, as well as potatoes, the other types of crops in Minecraft. As you can see, they have different designs. They're a bit more 3D now, which is pretty cool. And obviously, as they bone meal, you can see the design completely changes, so they like sort of spread out more on the block. Definitely looks a bit more 3D, which I really like. And also, as you can see, the potato crops now get flowers on them, which I think is a really cool detail. Obviously, I can bone meal up some more. And as you can see, it comes with different height variations as well. These ones are a bit shorter, these ones are a bit taller, which is pretty cool. I believe that's the same for the carrots and the beetroots as well. But obviously, pumpkins and melons have had a change, as if I bone meal the stems have a completely different texture, and hopefully we'll get a pumpkin and melon growing here in a second to showcase what they look like. Yep, as you can see, a melon's grown, and as you can see, the stem sort of extends over the block onto the top of a melon, which is such a cool design. Obviously, as this is a resource pack, this stem isn't interactive or anything, but it's still a really cool design. Same with this pumpkin, and the pumpkins also had a slight texture change. I mean, it's slightly hard to tell, but as you can see, it definitely looks a bit different, and honestly, I really like this design, and I think Fancy Crops has done a really good job at redesigning all of the crops, including wheat, which we'll now take a look at. To bone meal it, obviously you can see the seeds are a bit different. I really like the seed icon as well. I think it looks a lot nicer than vanilla. If I grab myself out some bone meal once again, bone meal it up, and as you can see, we get this amazing looking wheat design. Much more golden design, looks much more like the hay bales I covered a few minutes ago, but honestly it looks so much nicer. It's more 3D, which I really like, and it comes with height variations as well. And as you can see, it's a bit taller than one block as well, which I really like. So if you're a fan of farming, I definitely recommend using the Fancy Crops resource pack. But before I move on to any other resource packs, if you enjoyed today's video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments what your favourite resource packs are. For this next resource pack, you will need to make sure you've enabled the Programmer Art pack, which is built into Minecraft, as this is the Programmer Art Fix resource pack, which changes all of the textures back to its original ones, and also changes all the new textures to have a more original design. As you can see with something like the Wither Rose, it has the old rose texture, as obviously the Wither Rose was added in 1.14 when all the texture changes were added. As you can see, it also changes what the beehive looks like. This is so cool using the old plank textures. Even blocks of calcite have changed to this more sort of cobblestoney look. That looks really nice. And loads of other textures have changed. Obviously, wheat has changed. This is your wheat texture, which honestly does not look very nice anymore. But obviously, lots of other things have changed. Wolves have changed. Campfires have changed. All of these blocks have had slight changes. Obviously, hay bales, jack-o'-lanterns, and pumpkins. Even things like the copper chests have changed, which all look really interesting. Same with all the redstone items. We've got things like soul sand and netherrack and things all changed back to their original designs, and this also carries on over to the Nylium, which obviously didn't have a texture change in the Programmer Art pack. Obviously, all of the different crops and things have changed. But if you prefer the look of old sort of Minecraft textures, this is a perfect resource pack. It's the most popular one, and as you can see, loads of things have changed. All the spawn eggs have their own unique designs. All the foods and stuff has changed. Also, Golden Dandelion have a new design, which is pretty cool. You know, that makes me think. I'm really curious to see what the new baby mob designs look like, or if they're just reverted back. I haven't actually seen yet. We can take a look. Okay, it is their new designs. Oh, they are slightly different, though. As you can see, the chicken sort of got this more texturing going on. Definitely looks more like an old-styled one. Same with things like the pigs. The sheep have this sort of 2-pixelized, which is a bit terrifying to look at. Same with like the donkeys and horses and things. Same with cats and wolves. All got their sort of old designs, which I think is a really cool detail. But in their much more cute shape. Same with the rabbit. And I'm sure it's the same, yeah, for like the husks and baby zombies and things like that as well. Oh yeah, the baby zombies look adorable. Now, I guess taking a look at this resource pack sort of makes you think, were old Minecraft textures actually better? And honestly, just looking around, whilst they are quite nostalgic, like the old brick and granite textures, the old diorite textures and whatnot, honestly, the new textures are just so much more of an improvement. And it also sort of makes you realise how much of a texture update Minecraft did need. And I'm very glad they did. Although, it is nice once in a while to enable this Programmer Art Fix resource pack, just to be able to take a look at all of the old flowers, all of the old blocks, just for that sort of nostalgic Minecraft feel. Now, obviously, Fancy Crops is a resource pack which changes all of the crop textures in Minecraft. However, there is one that changes another type of plant, or I guess mushroom, as we've got Mushrooms Plus, which makes all the mushrooms in Minecraft 3D, so we get these really cool designs. One of my favourite parts about this resource pack is all the variated designs we get. Obviously, we've got this individual red mushroom, but we've got one with a couple of them. We've got some different height ones as well, which is pretty interesting. Same with the warped, crimson, and the brown mushrooms as well. It's just a really nice looking resource pack, and I actually really like 3D mushrooms. I'm surprised I've not really used it much, but honestly, it does really improve the look of mushrooms. Another really cool part of this resource pack is the fact that it makes warped and crimson fungus emissive. So as you can see, the orange parts of them glow during the night, which I think is a really cool design. Obviously, it doesn't let off actual block light, but it does make them glow, similar to what a firefly bush or something like that would do, which I think is another really cool detail. Honestly, really surprised this hasn't been added to Minecraft yet. I think glowing sort of mushrooms in general would be really nice, and especially for the nether ones. But honestly, just using this resource pack for a few minutes has made me realize how much I'd like to see more types of mushrooms added to Minecraft. I've said for a while now, I'd really like to see a glow mushroom cave added for some more mushroom variants, but honestly, we get like mushroom forest biomes. So many cool things to be added with mushrooms in Minecraft. Some like edible ones which give you different potion effects. So many cool ideas. Speaking of 3D, Block Accurate is a resource pack which changes lots of item textures to be 3D. As you can see, scrolling through the creative inventory, so many have changed. We've got things like torches, lanterns, we've got chains, glow lichen, end crystals, that's a cool looking one, the campfire, loads of different paintings, bells, we've got flower pots, we've got so many. And obviously they all showcase as 3D in my hand as well, so as you can see, I'm holding a 3D torch, or a 3D lantern, chain, glow lichen. There are so many cool designs. I especially like this end crystal design. That's so nice. Even for simple things like paintings, I think that's a really cool design. Never imagined 3D paintings, but honestly, this looks so cool. And as you can see, it's in my hand as well. But as you can see, there are so many other designs, such as all the armor getting 3D models, which is so cool. Same with horse armor, wolf armor, nautilus armor, the turtle shell. That especially looks nice. Sure, we can find some more if we keep scrolling through the creative menu. Harnesses have changed, the wind charge has changed, the elytra has changed. Loads of 3D designs, minecarts, rails, boats. Even in the natural section, we've got things like hanging moss, pointed dripstone, the amethyst, all the different flowers and foliage items. All now 3D, which honestly looks so nice. Now, if you've watched any of my videos before, you may know that I cover a resource pack known as Actions and Stuff. This is a Bedrock Edition resource pack, which changes all the textures in Minecraft and adds so many cool animations, name tag tricks, and things like that. However, we've got a resource pack called Mobs and Stuff. Now, this resource pack does something really cool, as it changes some of the mob textures to be more in line with the Actions and Stuff designs. So if I set the world to night, as you can see, I can spawn in a few different designs. For example, we've got new creeper designs, which look so cool, much smoother, less sort of pixely, which I really like. And honestly, I feel like it's a bit of an unpopular opinion, but the default creeper design is quite ugly, so I would like to see it change at some point, and this is a really good design of it. The skeletons have also changed. They're much sort of whiter now, which is pretty cool. Obviously, this would work better if you had a whole resource pack changing the look of Minecraft, as this just changes a few mobs. The zombies have also changed. This is definitely in a more Actions and Stuff style. As you can see, it's much more saturated. Speaking of saturated, we'll get onto that in a bit. And also, slimes have changed, which I actually really like this design. They look so much more vibrant and much nicer, honestly. And hopefully we can take this guy out. Did not realize how long it took to kill a slime. And we've got the medium ones, and we've got the little baby ones as well, which all look so cool. So if you're a fan of Actions and Stuff, but prefer to play on Java Edition, definitely check out Mobs and Stuff. And if you are a fan of Actions and Stuff, I've got so many Actions and Stuff videos for Bedrock Edition on my channel, and I've also got a video on my channel showcasing a way that you can turn Java Edition into Actions and Stuff. Now, one big problem that Minecraft has is unique textures. Lots of things in the game don't have unique textures, sadly. Now, obviously, one of the big ones is potions. They are fairly hard to tell apart. However, this next resource pack doesn't change potions, it changes enchanted books. As with the even better enchanted books resource pack, all enchanted books get a brand new unique design, which all looks so cool. As you can see, this one is Punch. It's sort of got like a fist on an arrow on top of a book, which is so cool. This one's channeling with a lightning bolt. It's a lot easier to tell apart as well, which is pretty cool. I imagine this pufferfish one, yeah, Aqua Affinity. This one's Curse of Vanishing, as a book sort of fading away. We've got Unbreaking, Silk Touch, Smite, Looting, Infinity. That's a really cool design. Breach, Blast Protection, Mending. There are so many, and honestly, these are so good. And honestly, it makes me really think, why haven't enchanted books had a texture overhaul yet, as they really need it. We've had changes recently for the spawn eggs, had changes for other things like banner patterns. So next up, I think, are enchanted books and potions, and even better, enchanted books does a great job of changing the enchanted book textures. Now, one thing you may have never noticed before is the water texture. As you can see, it's got loads of different lines through it, and whilst I guess it looks somewhat realistic with like animated waves and things, you may not like this sort of lined pattern. It sort of is just a very flat repeated texture. However, the simple water resource pack changes this. As you can see, all of the lines outside of the water have gone, and it's a much sort of flatter water design, which looks so cool. If I drop my brightness even more, you can see the water now just looks a lot nicer. It's a bit clearer as well, which is pretty cool. I feel like it just looks a bit more realistic as well, much smoother, which I think is extra nice. And honestly, whilst it's so simple, I've actually been playing with like a resource pack version of this for years, where I've just changed the water texture, and honestly, it'd be hard to go back to default, as this just looks so much nicer. Now, this next resource pack is called Visuals, which is one of my favorite resource packs, and honestly, one of the most underrated resource packs of all time, as it adds so many cool features into Minecraft. For example, it changes the look of a bundle and then changes the texture once again when it's more full. Something as simple as a firework, you can see the icon changes depending on the flight duration. Book and quills have a texture change. All the goat horn variants have a texture change, which is really cool. But my favorite part of this resource pack is the spawn egg section. As you can see, all the spawn eggs have different numbers attached to them, which indicate how many variants there are. For example, there are 10 cat variants, 34 horse variants, 2 other cow variants, 62 other wolf variants, 48 other panda variants. And one of the best parts of this resource pack is with another mod you need to use called Polytone. It allows you to get so many different variants of spawn eggs, all by using a resource pack. As you can see, if you've got Polytone installed, unfortunately it's not available for 26.1 just yet, so I can't showcase this in game. But as you can see, you can now get spawn eggs for every wolf variant. You can get spawn eggs for the different shulker colors, different rabbit variants, different cat variants, all the different villager variants, all the different panda variants. There are so many cool unique designs, if you obviously do have the Polytone mod installed, and you can simply get a rusty wolf spawn egg. a large slime spawn egg, a warm pig spawn egg. There's so many different options. But obviously, still without the use of an external mod, especially if it's not updated for the newest version, there are still so many cool texture changes regardless. As you can see, all the paintings get their own unique sprites, which is really cool. So I highly recommend checking out the Visuals Resource Pack, and honestly, it's such a good pack, I may make a full video on it, going through all of the features at some point in the future. Now, by itself, Minecraft looks fairly desaturated, but this can be changed by the Best Saturation Resource Pack, which, as you can see, saturates all of the designs in Minecraft, which honestly looks so cool. Now, when I first checked out this resource pack to showcase in today's video, I thought it'd make everything very highly saturated and honestly unplayable, but honestly, it's not unplayable at all. This all looks so nice. As you can see, the sunflowers look so cool. Same with like just basic blocks like diorite still looks great. Rails and sugarcane, cherry saplings, trees, everything just looks so much more saturated. And honestly, it looks so cool. I do stand out quite a bit though, because my character skin is not saturated at all. But you can see golden dandelions are now saturated, villagers are saturated, all the baby mobs are now saturated. Honestly, this looks so cool. It'd be so useful for taking thumbnails for videos, which honestly I probably will do. But even scrolling through creative inventory, you can see how much more saturated Minecraft looks now. And honestly, it looks so nice. Like, if Minecraft just boosted up the saturation of the game by a bit, I wouldn't complain. It looks really cool. As you can see, a big subscribe red sign, that looks so cool. And you should probably listen to it. But as you can see, like, even the default player skins like the Alex is much more saturated, which looks so cool. My skin definitely stands out as a contrast now, but everything else looks so nice. Deep Slate looks amazing. Honestly, just flying around, we can see everything. And I think the best part of this resource pack is the fact that it changes everything to be more saturated. So nothing sort of stands out. As you can see, mangrove looks saturated, but it still looks great as it's sort of compared to a grass block, which also is saturated, and it still looks amazing. Diamonds, lapis, emeralds all look amazing. This is honestly such a cool pack. I can't believe I hadn't discovered it until now. Now going back to sort of more desaturated Minecraft, which honestly looks a bit worse now, but we have the endstone texture, which is a pretty basic design. It looks a bit like sort of inverted cobblestone. I don't hate the design, but like it's quite hard to incorporate into builds. But luckily we have the new endstone resource pack, which changes the endstone texture, and honestly this is such a cool design. I'd actually love to see a block like this in Minecraft. It looks a lot more like sort of limestone or something, but I think this is a really cool looking design, and honestly I feel like it would fit in better with other blocks. If we grab out some sandstone, for example, yeah, as you can see, I feel like it pairs a lot nicer. It's sort of got this pink design to it as well, which is pretty cool. And yes, it does change endstone bricks as well, which is so cool. Yeah, this would be so cool. This looks much more like sandstone as well, which I really like. Honestly, I might have to use this resource pack because it just makes building with endstone a lot nicer, honestly. Because before, endstone was this almost sort of green colored block, but now we've got this sort of pale pink design, which honestly looks unreal. Now, I've covered a couple of resource packs in this video which change the look of foliage in Minecraft, and this next resource pack also does it. This is the Better Foliage resource pack, which, as you can see, changes lots of flower designs. As you can see, the golden dandelion gets new variants, which I think is so cool. I might have to use this for my own resource pack, as I like having flower variants. Speaking of which, mushrooms now have new variants. I actually really like this design. Same with the brown mushrooms, crimson ones, warped ones. And then all the flowers have unique designs, such as the lily of the valley. That's a really cool looking texture. Same with things like cornflowers getting their own unique variants. Same with oxeye daisies, the wither rose, alliums, azure bluets, all the different tulips. It doesn't look like eye blossoms or torch flowers do though. However, other ones do obviously, such as blue orchids, alliums. Wheat also gets a new design. As you can see, it's 2 blocks tall now, which is so cool. And it definitely makes me realize how much more flower variants would be nice in Minecraft. I obviously play with a resource pack on pretty much all the time, which add new variants, but Better Foliage adds some really cool ones. Like, I really like this dandelion design. I think for my own resource pack, I'll have to be using these golden dandelions. Now, throughout today's video, I've covered 3D crops, I've covered 3D items, but now we've got 3D vanilla, which is a resource pack which changes blocks to be more 3D. As you can see, we can look around, and something as simple as flowers now have 3D designs. As you can see, golden dandelions, torch flowers, eye blossoms, even something like a flowering azalea bush now has these 3D petals. And this changes so many blocks. As you can see, sticky pistons now have 3D elements. The dispenser almost looks like it's got like a 3D hole, which is really cool. The observer has a 3D face, which I really like. There's so many cool designs. As you can see, we've got things like the 3D smithing table, the hammer slightly off by a pixel. We've got 3D oars. And honestly, this is a really vanilla way of doing it. Some resource packs take it to the extreme and make it stand out by a lot, but this resource pack really doesn't. It literally is offset by like a pixel, which is really cool. 3D hay bales, another really cool design. Same with carved pumpkins. Copper bulbs look amazing, as the lodestones. The crafting table looks really nice. Barrels also look really nice. I love these sort of 3D straps to it and the 3D sort of handle on top. Even got 3D bookshelves, which look pretty cool. And one of my favorites is 3D chiseled bookshelves. I think that just looks amazing. But there we go. These were just some amazing resource packs, which I really highly recommend you checking out for yourself. Resource packs are an amazing way to enhance the look of Minecraft. So today, I want to showcase some of the best resource packs, starting with the most downloaded, before we get to some resource packs at the end of the video with only a few thousand downloads. This first resource pack is called Pickled 3D Items, which, as you can see in my hand, changes the textures of tools in Minecraft. As you can see, I've got this wooden sword here with this brand new 3D design. The stone spear gets this really cool looking design, as does the copper axe, the pickaxe, the hoe, the fishing rod, which I really like. Obviously, it's got the bobber on it as well. The flint and steel, which looks really cool, as do the pair of shears. The brush also looks amazing. I actually really like this design, and we can even drop them on the floor. And as you can see, they maintain their 3D designs, which looks so cool. But it's not just tools and weapons that get an update. As you can see in my hand, buckets also changed, and we've even got a water bucket, the milk bucket, an axolotl bucket, which looks very cool. Even leads get a texture change, as does the name tag, which is really cool. The compass also does, which I actually really like this design. I love how subtly the animation works on it. The clock also gets a 3D design, as does the ender pearl, even when you throw it, which just looks amazing. Honestly, this is actually such a good resource pack. I was just expecting it to be the tools and weapons, but as you can see, the warp fungus on the stick gets updated, the empty map gets updated, even the book and quill gets updated, which is really cool. Actually, I imagine the written book also does, so if I just write like subscribe or something, yeah, we get a 3D written book as well. The wind charge, that might be my favorite one. I love the really cool animation on it. The saddle gets a 3D design, as does bone meal. That looks really nice. So does the fire charge. I like the sort of subtle glow outline it has. Even fireworks get a 3D design, which even works when you ignite them. And there are still so many cool designs. We've got different helmet textures, chest plates, leggings, boots. As you can see on the ground as well, these all look so cool. Even the totem gets a 3D design. This actually might be my new favorite. The wind charge is amazing. I really like this 3D totem though. I might actually have to start using that myself. Horse armor gets a really cool design, as does wolf armor. Even Nautilus armor, that looks so nice. Even eggs get a design, which is so cool. And honestly, there are still so many more designs, like arrows, snowballs, even the mace. I could go on and on, but these are just a few of the amazing different retextures that Pickles 3D Items adds into the game. We've taken a look at items, but now let's take a look at armor, as Armored Legacy adds brand new designs for armor. And immediately opening the creative inventory, you can see the changes. First of all, it adds 3D items, and then once we equip them, yeah, we get brand new unique sets of armor. This is leather armor, for example. This looks so cool. I love the little sort of gauntlets we almost have on our hands. I think this is a really cool design. Let's take a look at copper armor, which already from the helmet. Yeah, this looks so cool. It's as if we're a bit like a copper golem with like the sort of lightning rod on our head. We've also got chain armor, which looks really nice. I like the sort of belt we have, as well as iron armor, which also looks very nice. And we cannot forget about diamond armor. Yeah, this looks so cool. And netherite armor. So if you like sort of playing in a medieval style, I'd actually highly recommend this resource pack. Plus, the sort of actual item textures just look unreal. Speaking of unreal, it would be unreal if you subscribed. That was an awful subscriber plug, so please do still consider subscribing and make sure to leave a like on today's video. One thing that really hasn't changed much in Minecraft is the GUI, which is where the resource pack GUI retextures comes in. As you can see from the HUD, loads of these icons have changed. We've got a unique armor bar design, brand new heart, brand new XP bar and hunger bar. We've obviously got other effects as well, such as unique water bubble designs, and if I eat this pufferfish, we also have unique poison hearts and hunger haunches. As you can see, the hotbar also gets this really cool new design, and if we open up the inventory, so does the actual inventory, which looks so nice. I love the sort of different colors and patterns it has throughout it, so it's not just the same sort of bland inventory we've always had in Minecraft. And this obviously changes for loads of the other UI, such as the crafting table. I really like these sort of drawings of a crafting table. How it now has like a tool belt, some logs, a table. The chest gets redesigned, as does the smoker, the smithing table, the anvil, and even the ender chest. I think it would be really cool if the sort of artworks on the crafting table were carried over to some of these other GUIs. Even the pause menu gets these really cool new buttons, which I really like. Now, so far, lots of these resource packs I've shown off haven't completely changed the look of Minecraft, but the block pixel texture pack does. As you can see around me, the entire look of Minecraft has been transformed, and honestly, it looks so nice. We can open up the inventory. Wow, some of these textures look amazing, and I guess let's just take a look through a load of these different designs. So we've got oak planks. Yeah, these look really cool. As do the spruce logs. These look really interesting. They're quite like mossy looking logs. Cherry planks, deep slate bricks are really cool. Resin bricks look really nice. Blocks of amethyst. This almost reminds me of the Minecraft Xbox edition sort of plastic texture pack. The copper looks great, as do the stairs and the oxidized blocks. These all look amazing. But we can just fly around and just take a look at lots of my Minecraft builds with all these different textures. This is birchwood, which looks really strange. Oh, even the Happy Gas has had a new texture. What is this? Oh, it's a brown mushroom. He looks pretty funny. I like the mushroom texture on him, though. Even, like, something as simple as a netherite block has had this texture change, as has a furnace. Like, this giant wall has loads of texture changes. Like, that's a granite block. That's sort of red-looking one. We've got moss blocks all around it. This is such an interesting-looking texture pack. Obviously, it does change the look of Minecraft, so certain builds may not look perfect. As you can see, I feel like this moss is very dark in comparison to this coarse dirt. What do villagers look like? Oh, wow, we've got, like, beards now. They don't even have their, like, sort of long noses anymore. Whoa, the UIs inside are incredible. Whoa, I like how the emeralds are like only a couple of pixels. We've got some decorations. Even the smithing tables had an update. So is a double chest, crafting table, my creative inventory obviously. There's so many other items we can still take a look at, like a redstone block. That looks really nice. But wow, spawn eggs actually look so cool. They're like the mob's face. Let's just take out a few different mobs and spawn them in to see what they look like. So down here we've got a snow golem, which looks pretty close to default, but I imagine if we grab out a pair of shears, which, side note, they look really cool. Wow, that's the most serious snow golem I've ever seen. I don't know if he's happy or not. We've got Harrydallamas. I like the different colors they have. Villagers, obviously, these guys look really cool. The breeze, I think he's had a subtle change. The witch has also had an update. That's a really cool design. Even all of the tools and armor have changed, so I can put on this netherite set of armor. And wow, this looks completely different. It's like a red style now, which is really nice looking. But honestly, this is such an amazing looking resource pack. And if you're looking for a pack which sort of completely changes the looks of Minecraft, I imagine this would be a really good one for like a sort of cozy Minecraft playthrough. I would definitely recommend using the Block Pixels resource pack. Now, maybe this pack is not your style, and perhaps you want Minecraft to look even simpler. This is MS Painted, which obviously changes the look of Minecraft to make every texture look like they've been created on Microsoft Paint. And as you can see, this is a crazy looking resource pack. Like, just looking at Harrydallama straight away, you can see he's actually been drawn on Microsoft Paint. Like, look at the crosshair in the center. It's quite hard to see, but it's like sort of curved a bit. So much has changed, obviously, because every texture, well, has now just been sort of hand drawn. Wow, the Happy Gas is quite strange looking. Even the sun, I like that sun texture with the smiley face and the sunglasses on it. It definitely looks like a child sort of drawn all these textures, which I feel like is the intention. Even like stone has changed. That's really cool. Dried grass has changed. What do these wolves look like? Wow, that puppy looks very simple. I'm obviously very interested to see what villagers look like. Wow, he looks a bit miserable, to be honest. Even the stone cut has changed, and that's got an animation which I really like. What does my copper golem Sheldon look like? Oh, he looks so cool. I love the sort of hand-drawn looks to it. He's not like 3D anymore or anything. He's just got this really sort of flat looking nose. Even the inventory looks so simple. Like, I really like how all the blocks are just like these sort of flat hotbar textures. This is mangrove log. That's really interesting. Let's just fly around and see some other textures. Now that's green terracotta. That looks really weird. Like, look how flat the sort of gates now look. They don't look 3D at all. Is this a cold cow? Oh, he looks so angry. And is this birch leaves? Oh, that's so cool how we actually get different colored leaves. Oh, they're animated as well. That's so cool. It's quite hard to notice, but now get animated leaves. Have banners change? Oh, wow. I didn't even know banner textures could really change, but that's really cool looking. You can sort of tell, like, with a flower one, there are simplistic changes. We've got, like, moss block changes. I want to look at this sort of custom build area. We can take a look at loads of different textures. These are rose bushes. These look really cool. Oh, I love how, like, the grass is animated. This is such an amazing pack. Now back to vanilla textures, as this next resource pack is incredibly simple, but also incredibly useful. This is clear lava, which simply removes the sort of fog effect you'd see under lava. Well, so you can actually see under lava now, which makes it really useful for spotting blocks like ancient debris, which can actually spawn underneath lava. So it's really useful for netherite mining, basically. As you can see as well, it sort of changes the lava texture, which is pretty interesting, and also adds lower fire, so the fire doesn't sort of obstruct your entire screen. But honestly, this is a really useful pack because it just makes netherite mining so much more useful. You can spot structures from under the lava in the nether now. This next resource pack may be even simpler, but this is Better Golden Apples, which changes the golden apple and the enchanted golden apple texture just to have a new design. This almost reminds me of the sort of old 1.8 PvP texture pack you'd see. They'd always have custom apples and things. But as you can see, these are actually really cool little golden apple designs. I really like the little leaf on them. And yeah, they just look really cool. Now, when I play Minecraft, I love to decorate with blocks such as short grass, as well as other foliage items such as ferns, which is where the resource pack Simple Foliage comes in, as it just slightly changes the look of foliage in Minecraft. It's hard to notice at first, but if I place loads of short grass down, you'll notice there are subtle variations. As you can see, some bits are shorter, some bits are taller, and we get some different shades. Like, this is a bit sort of lighter green, whereas these ones are a bit darker green. It's really subtle, but honestly, it's such a nice detail. I believe ferns also get these sort of slight changes as well. Yeah, as you can see, we've got a shorter fern there compared to a taller fern, which is pretty interesting. And obviously, it also affects bushes, which I really like. Now we sort of get different coloured foliage items in Minecraft. That bush is a bit darker, this one's a bit lighter. Plus, it also changes the look of vines. Oh yeah, it adds like this 3D effect to vines. That's such a cool design. I honestly wish Minecraft had this. This might be the sort of resource pack I'm most likely to use in vanilla, because that is so cool looking for these sort of 3D vines. I love that effect. One of the most underrated Minecraft features is the jukebox and music discs. And Minecraft now has so many disc designs. And the textures of these music discs can be improved with the hollow disc resource pack. As you can see, music discs just get a simple upgrade, and we can just take out a few of the designs. It's very subtle, but you can see there's sort of different like shading to them now, which is a really nice effect. I especially like this. Is this tears? Yeah, I especially like this one. That looks so cool, but it helps just add more sort of detail and design to all of these. If we search up disc, you can see all of the others. I really like, honestly, all of them. The other side one, that one looks really nice, as does creator. These are such fun designs. Now earlier I covered a resource pack called MS Painted, which adds Microsoft Paint textures into the game. And we've got another paint related resource pack. This time it's Painted Pixels, which transforms the look of Minecraft to make it look like it was painted. Which is because they have been painted. All of these textures from this resource pack have been created and painted by the developer, which is so cool. And we can just take a look at some of the different examples. As you can see, oak logs, they're quite close to vanilla, but as you can see, they definitely look painted. These look so realistic as well, which is so cool. Take a look at loads of different stuff. Is the mace been painted? Yes, it has. That is so cool. Some grass and dirt. Yep, both of these look really cool. Even things like stone have been painted, which looks really nice. Even blocks like diorite, granite, and andesite have all been painted, which, wow, these are such fun looking textures. Now, obviously, this resource pack is still in early development, so I definitely recommend keeping updated with this pack and following the developer and everything. As you can see, some of the textures haven't been updated yet, but this is such an interesting resource pack, and it's definitely something to keep your eye on. Now, this right here is the default look of Minecraft. And did you notice a change? This is the unshaded blocks resource pack, which simply removes shading from blocks in Minecraft. It can be quite hard to notice at first, especially as throughout today's video I've been using the shine mod, but as you can see, blocks no longer have shadows on them, which sort of just makes them stand out more, makes them a lot brighter looking. If we just fly around and look at some of the builds, you can see there definitely is a little bit of a difference. It even obviously affects things like entities, which is pretty interesting looking. It almost has the effect that you're playing with some sort of subtle shaders, when in reality you're not. But if you don't like all the shadows and blocks in Minecraft, definitely check out this resource pack. Now for this next resource pack, I need to head to a different biome, as this is the Snowy Leaves resource pack, which changes the look of all of the leaves in Minecraft to have snowy designs when in a snowy biome, which is honestly such a needed change, and it should be added to vanilla Minecraft, which is actually the case on Bedrock Edition. When it snows on Bedrock Edition, why am I Steve? But when it snows on Bedrock Edition, you can unlock snowy leaves. But I think this should just be default in all snowy biomes. As you can see, the one it doesn't change is spruce leaves, but they do slightly change colour, just not completely. But now we get to build with so many unique types of leaves. Although, to be honest, if this was added to Minecraft, I'd like to be able to just get permanent snowy leaves as well. I think that would also be amazing for building. And just to note, to make sure this resource pack actually works, you will need the continuity and polytone mods. Today, I've already covered a resource pack which changes the texture of a hotbar. But glass hotbar is another example. As you can see, it simply changes the hotbar texture in Minecraft to be that of glass panes, which is really cool, really subtle. As this resource pack only has a few thousand downloads, I thought it's worth showcasing. If you like the sort of look at custom hotbars in Minecraft, maybe check this one out. And yeah, I still don't know why I'm Steve. Now, this final resource pack fixes one of Minecraft's biggest issues. As you can see, I'm wearing a pair of leggings, but when I crouch, you can see that a part of my Minecraft skin pokes through, which is just simply unplayable. Which is where the resource pack Leggings Fix comes in, as it simply fixes this feature, so now you can see that my skin no longer pokes out the back of my leggings. And this obviously works with all pairs of leggings. We can grab out a few examples. Works with iron, copper, diamond, gold, leather, chain, everything. Now you will no longer see those annoying little pixels pointing out my backside. But if you enjoyed today's video and have found out some new resource packs, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and let me know what your favorite Minecraft resource pack is. Also, still don't know why I'm Steve.